Chapter 1967. Well, the glaring light on the island caught the attention of the 13. They looked over, and their eyes glowed. There was a pattern at the entrance. Luli could not run away. Buzzing, Luli took out the Nine Wonders Mountain and pressed it toward the glaring light. The 13 held their breaths and stopped. They wanted to see if Luli could get away. If he could not, all the elixirs Luli had would belong to them. The Nine Wonders Mountain pressed forward. The glaring light was suppressed for a moment. However, the Nine Wonders Mountain was pushed back by the glaring light after moving forward for 10 feet. Inside the Nine Wonders Mountain, Little Six said, "Master, no. The pattern here is too strong. We cannot stop it. If we force it, the mountain will collapse." Luli's heart skipped a beat. He could not count on the Nine Wonders Mountain. He said to Blood Fairy at once, "Blood Fairy, think of a way to crack the formation and let me in. If I can't get in, I'll die." The island was not large enough for Luli to use the unfettered steps. The 13 were all third tribulation heaven immortals with treasures. How could Luli fight them? The hundreds of thousands of worms of the void would not be enough to kill them. Blood Fairy extended her tentacles towards the passageway. After a while, she sent a voice transmission to Jiang Yi. "Master, although I can't break through the divine patterns completely, I can still let you in. But I need time, at least 4 to 6 hours." "No," Luli replied at once. "In the time for 2 to 3 incense sticks to burn, they will be on the island. We do not have that much time. There is no other way. I am sorry, Master. I am useless." Blood Fairy's words made Li's heart sink. She had only studied the pattern for a short period of time. Asking her to crack the formation within a short period of time was too much. Li paced around the tunnel. He was so anxious that he was scratching his ears and cheeks. The 13 people in the lake were energized. The gloom in their chests was gone. Young Master Fu and Young Master Yin had killing intent in their eyes. 2 or 3 other young masters were just as eager. As soon as Luli was on the island, they would use their moves to kill Luli. Young Master Qin and Lady Qiong sensed the killing intent, but they did not do anything. Those young masters were used to seeing people being killed. Their families would take them on adventures when they were young. They would not kill, but they would not stop young Master Fu and the others if they wanted to. "Got it." Luli walked around. His eyes glowed. "Blood Fairy, didn't you say that you can build the divine inscription field that can suppress divine energy? How long will it take to set this up?" Back at the Demon Mountain, Luli once went to a rune dojo where divine energy would be suppressed upon entry. Back then, he had easily suppressed the Bald Man and Taoist Li Hua in the divine rune Dao field. As long as Blood Fairy could set it up, she would be able to affect the 13 of them. In the divine inscription dojo, Qin Wentian wouldn't need to fear them. Divine energy was the source of a warrior's life. Without divine energy, no fundamental principle could be used. Not even Luli himself could release the Slayer's Ghost Cut. Without divine power, it could not be activated. Even if it was forcefully activated, its power would definitely be greatly reduced. Since divine energy could not be used, Luli had to resort to physical and soul attacks. He was not afraid of soul attacks under the protection of the Dragon Soul. Physical body? Compared to his physical body, he could easily suppress all 13 of them. That's simple. It won't take long to set it up. Luli was delighted to hear Blood Fairy's voice. Luli stayed where he was. He told Blood Fairy to set up the Divine Inscription Dojo to cover the entire island. The only thing he was worried about was whether the Divine Inscription Dojo could contain a 3 trials god. If it could not, then he would still be in danger. He had no other choice. This was the only thing he could hope for. Buzzing, at the same time, he let out the worms of the void from the mountain. Tens of billions of golden worms of the void and hundreds of thousands of dark golden worms of the void were hiding underground, ready to attack at any time. Blood Fairy went into the ground and began to set up the divine inscription. Luli did not know how she was going to set up the divine inscription dojo. Psychic power could not be used here. He had to wait quietly for Blood Fairy's message. In the time for 1 incense stick to burn, Blood Fairy said, "Master, it is ready. We can activate it at any time." So soon? Luli could not believe it. Blood Fairy explained, there are many divine inscriptions under the island. I changed some of them and added a divine inscription dojo to the island. Don't worry, it will be fine. I have studied this divine inscription dojo for a long time. I will not make a mistake. Okay. Luli was cheered up. He was emboldened. He walked out in strides and stood by the lake, looking at the 13 approaching. The 13 were surprised. Just now, Luli was scratching his ears and cheeks in anxiety. How come he was so calm now? Why did he walk to the lake? Was he going to fight the 13 alone? Young Master Fu, young Master Yin, and the others looked at each other. Luli was just a one tribulation god. What could he do even if he had some tricks up his sleeve? Could he fly to the sky? What? The mountain in the distance became lively as well. Many people were talking nonsense. Some were yelling at young Master Fu, young Master Yin, and young Master Qin to kill Luli. As they got closer to the island, the mountain became livelier and livelier. Many people were waiting for the young masters to show their prowess and crush Luli into a pulp. When the 13 were 1,000 feet away from the lake, Luli stepped back for thousands of feet. His eyes were calm. He stood there alone, wearing the bronze mask, which was quite strange. Young Master Yin, young Master Fu, young Master Bu, and young Master Li were filled with killing intent. They exerted the relic weapons under their feet, ready to rush over and kill Luli. When they were 150 feet away from the island, young Master Qin suddenly spoke. Everyone, please don't move. That little brother over there, it's definitely impossible for you to take all 16 godly medicines for yourself. As long as you can split a portion, I advise everyone not to fight. How about it? Sure, Lady Qiong also said. Her voice was cold, but pleasant. Young Master, as long as you give us some of the miracles, I think the other young masters and young ladies are reasonable people. They won't start a fight. Let's make peace. They really are young masters and young ladies from big families. They are broad-minded and generous. Luli nodded to himself. They didn't want to kill him. They were broad-minded and generous. Luli showed no emotion in his eyes as he asked, how many of the miracles are we talking about? Young Master Bu answered first, 15. We will keep one for you, and we will distribute the rest. Or else die. Keep one for him, young Master Yin sneered and said. Who does he think he is? How can he have one miracles? Hand them all over, or this will be his burial ground. Ha ha ha. Chapter 1968. He was responsible for his own life and death. Luli's words caused an uproar on the mountain. How could Luli be so arrogant? He wanted to fight against young Master 13 and young lady all by himself, not to mention that he was only at the first tribulation realm. Was he tired of living? Was he trying to hang himself? There was no time to find the elixirs. If he lost his life, he would lose everything. They were about to go to the island, and Luli was so ignorant. Was he an idiot? Young Master Yin, young Master Fu, young Master Bu, and young Master Go were fuming. Young Master Qin, young Lady Qiong, and young Lady Mu were on guard. They were still on the lake. If Luli were to attack, they could fall into the lake. Young Master Yin and the others took out weapons and shields. They were glowing with divine energy in case Luli would sneak up on them. They said nothing. They rubbed their hands, ready to kill Luli as soon as they got to the island. Luli did not attack. For one thing, they were prepared. For another, he was used to not attacking unless he was attacked. He would only fight back if they attacked him on the island. If they did not attack him when they got to the island, then he would not bite them like a mad dog. After all, being the target of public criticism would not end well. In the time for half an incense stick to burn, they had all arrived at the lakeside. At this moment, Luli ordered Blood Fairy, activate the Divine Rune Plaza. Blood Fairy reached under Luli's feet. Soon, the entire island began to glow. Then, a strange force field enveloped the entire island. The force field was invisible and formless. The 13 only felt there was a faint glow on the ground, and then an indescribable energy spread over the island. Other than that, nothing else changed. Luli mobilized divine energy at once. Soon, a smile appeared on his face. The Divine Rune Plaza was a success. He could not use any divine energy at all. He took out a weapon and tried to use the Slayer's Ghost Cut by pouring in divine energy. However, he could not use any divine energy. Naturally, the Slayer's Ghost Cut could not be used. Something is wrong. Young Master Chen's eyes revealed a trace of astonishment. He scanned the island and shouted, "Everyone be careful. I feel that there is a divine pattern Tao ground on the island." The others were not idiots. They had sensed something was wrong. Their eyes flickered. Thinking back to Lu Li's previous words and how calm he was, everyone was puzzled. Could it be that this divine inscription dojo was created by Lu Li? However, how could Lu Li, a warrior of the First Tribulation, control such powerful runes? Everyone found it hard to believe, but Lu Li could enter the island easily. Judging from this, Lu Li might have mastered some divine patterns. That's not right either. If Lu Li had mastered the divine glyphs, he would have left a long time ago and wouldn't be trapped on the island. He could easily break through the runes at the entrance and go to the next level, or even leave the Immortal Palace. Everyone was bewildered. They were already at the edge of the island and could easily jump into the island, but no one dared to move. No one dared to take the risk without figuring out what was wrong. Lu Li stood where he was quietly while the 13 of them hovered by the lake. Both sides were quiet, which was quite strange. Young Master Fu, why are you not moving? Hurry up and kill that bastard. That's right. Young Masters, please make your move and kill that madman. Young Masters, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? The people on the mountain couldn't see the situation on the island clearly. Seeing that the 13 of them didn't move, many people shouted. After all, after they killed Lu Li, the 13 of them could come back and take them to the island and leave this place. Young Master Yin and the others observed for a while. Finally, they couldn't stand it anymore. Young Master Go was the first to make a move. He took out a long sword and stabbed at Lu Li. Swish, a ray of sword light whooshed out, whooshing towards Lu Li in a blur. The ray of sword light was fast, and it flew in easily. Lu Li could not take it head-on. He had to dodge to the side. The divine energy attack didn't dissipate. Lu Li was surprised. On second thought, he remembered that young Master Go was releasing the attack from the outside. Divine energy was not suppressed outside, so naturally, he could release it. Charge! Young Master Yin, young Master Fu, young Master Go, young Master Bu, and young Master Li looked at each other. The 5 of them flew forward on their rare treasures and rushed to the island. They took out their weapons and shot at Lu Li like crazy. The others didn't move. Young Master Chen, Lady Qiong, and Lady Mu all stayed outside the island and looked on indifferently. They would not rob Lu Li of his elixirs or kill people for no reason. That being said, they wouldn't stop young Master Yin and the others since Lu Li didn't know what was good for him. The 5 young masters realized something was wrong as soon as they took a few steps forward. Since they could not mobilize divine energy, their speed was slowed down. One of them tried to use a move to attack Lu Li in the distance, only to realize that he couldn't even spit out sword light. There's a strange force field here that is suppressing our divine energy. Young Master Fu came to his senses and yelled. Everyone stopped. Divine energy was the source of their strength. Without divine energy, they could not use their moves. Naturally, their abilities would be weakened. Buzzing, young Master Yin took out that small seal and tried to use it to attack. However, since divine energy could not be released, that secret artifact glowed but could not fly up. Secret artifacts were powerful and required a large amount of divine energy to operate. Usually, even with a secret artifact, they could not use its power because they did not have abundant divine energy to support it. Blood Fairy, this Institute of Runes is nice. Lu Li was relieved to see this. He didn't expect that the Institute of Runes could suppress a heaven god of 3 trials so easily. He couldn't help but express his appreciation. Blood Fairy replied, I modified this Institute of Runes based on the runes on the island. If I built an Institute of Runes myself, it wouldn't be as strong. But I can try to improve it, but it will take some time. Lu Li nodded. Blood Fairy had borrowed the strength of the runes on the island. That was why the Institute of Runes was so powerful. Everyone's divine energy was suppressed, and they could not use any. Something is wrong. Young Master Qin and Lady Qiong looked at each other. They were curious. Even if Lu Li's divine energy was suppressed, he was only a heaven god of one trials. How could he fight against a 5? Could it be that his divine energy was not suppressed? Young Master Yin snorted. Let's go together. His divine energy must be suppressed. Even without divine energy, we can still defeat him. Whoosh! The 5 of them moved at the same time. They were all physically strong. After all, they were born in major families and grew up on elixirs. Their physical bodies could not be weak. Like 5 ferocious tigers, the 5 wielded their weapons and dashed toward Lu Li. Lu Li stood on an empty ground with pride. A glint of coldness rose in his eyes as he shouted, I will give you one last chance. Either leave now, or you will be responsible for your own life. Clearly, the 5 would not leave. With so many eyes on them, the 5 young masters were proud. They would not be intimidated by Lu Li's words. The 5 charged at him. A glint of coldness rose in Lu Li's eyes. Chapter 1969. How fast he is! Lu Li's movement startled everyone. He was so fast that he could be compared to a 3 tribulation heaven god. He was 10 times faster than the others. He was like a bolt of lightning approaching them at a horrifying speed. Can he use divine energy? That can't be right. Even if a 1 tribulation heaven god can use divine energy, how can he be so fast? Nobody could figure it out except for young Master Qin. He murmured to himself, this man must have achieved the initial success of the immortal body. Immortal body? Lady Qiong was relieved. No wonder Lu Li was so fearless. None of them could use divine energy. If Lu Li had achieved the initial success of the immortal body, he could defeat them easily. Boom! With a muffled sound, Lu Li rushed to young Master Gu, who was on the far left. Lu Li took a blow from young Master Gu and knocked young Master Gu away for hundreds of feet. He almost fell into the lake. Young Master Gu rolled on the ground. When he realized the lake was behind him, he was terrified. He struggled to stand up and blood oozed out from his mouth. He was shocked. The primordial spirit armor he was wearing had hundreds of divine patterns on it. It was strong in defense. How could Lu Li hurt him? Could Lu Li really use divine energy? Whoosh! Lu Li turned around and dashed toward young Master Li. He punched at young Master Li's chest, ignoring his sword. Young Master Li was smashed away. He spat out blood in midair. He was injured as well. He does not have any divine energy, young Master Li shouted in surprise. The other 3 were shocked as well. Seeing that Lu Li's skin didn't get cut after being attacked twice, young Master Yin said, divine body. Lu Li didn't wear any armor. He survived the 2 attacks with his body alone. Only the immortal body could explain why he was unharmed. It was easy to tell that Lu Li had such speed and strength despite the lack of divine energy. Leave! Young Master Yin didn't hesitate. Divine energy was restricted in the plaza. They would be at a disadvantage to fight against a warrior with a minor success of the immortal body. They might as well leave first and figure out a way to break the plaza to kill Lu Li. You want to leave? Lu Li snorted. He dashed over like a ghost and punched young Master Yin into the island. Similarly, although young Master Yin was wearing a powerful armor, he had the Spirit Explosion secret technique. His power could pass through and injure young Master Yin. Xiao! After Lu Li smashed young Master Yin away, he flew towards young Master Fu and young Master Bu and smashed them into the island. Young Master Gu was lucky and fell into the lake. He retreated and soared into the sky once he got out. He took out a secret treasure to withstand the mysterious force field in the lake and flew to young Master Qin's side. He didn't continue to attack because he saw how far young Master Yin and the others were knocked away. He knew clearly that Lu Li had shown mercy just now. Otherwise, he would have been smashed into the lake and turned into a pile of bones. He didn't look happy. He stood in the air and observed the situation on the island. Young Master Qin, Young Lady Cheong and the others were also observing the situation on the island. Boom, boom, boom. Young Master Yin and the others were attacked one by one. Luli was too fast. Anyone who tried to run out of the island would be caught by Luli like a ghost and smashed into the island with one punch. On 2 occasions, 2 young masters almost rolled into the kill's ruins. Luckily, they reacted fast enough, or else they would have been killed. Boom, boom, boom. The 4 of them were smashed into the island like ragged sacks. They were no match for Luli. Luli was too fast, and his defense was too strong. Every time he blocked their attacks, he would knock them away. The 4 of them had blood on their mouths. They were all injured. Luli's spear explosion skill had cracked their internal organs. Although this injury was not particularly serious, it still made everyone feel depressed. Compared to Luli, they were too slow. Just now, the 4 of them tried to run away from 4 directions, but were smashed into the island by Luli. The 4 of them felt powerless. Without divine energy, they could not exert their abilities as heaven gods of 3 tribulations. What? The other side of the mountain was bustling with noise. Many people were dumbfounded. The 5 of them had thought they could defeat Luli easily. Little did they expect that things would end like this. They were too far away, and there was mist in the lake. Therefore, they could not see clearly what was happening on the island. Many people had confused looks on their faces. They did not understand why such a situation had occurred. Boom, boom. Once again, the 4 of them were smashed into the island. This time, they didn't want to leave. They gathered on the island, wiped the blood from their mouths, and waited for Luli to come. Buzzing, young Master Yin took out the stamp, young Master Fu took out the porcelain pieces, and the other 2 took out their treasures as well. Young Master Yin stared at Luli like a wolf, grinned, and said, "Punk, come on. Come at me if you have the guts. Let's see if we can kill you or not." The 4 of them hadn't used their treasures yet because they didn't have divine energy, so they couldn't exert too much power. But now is not the time to worry. The 4 of them gathered together. If Luli came, they would use their treasures to attack him. Luli grinned. Wearing the bronze mask, he walked over like a killer from hell. When he was 2 miles away from them, he stopped, waved his hand, and said, "You think you are invincible just because you have treasures. Childish. Worms of the void, attack." Luli ordered the worms of the void down below. Those worms had been hiding underground. At Luli's order, the worms of the void went underground quickly. When they reached the 4, they whooshed out and enveloped the 4 of them. What is this? The 4 of them had been paying attention to Luli. The worms of the void came out silently and were everywhere. They even tried to sneak into the 4 of them. The 4 of them were scared out of their wits. They waved their treasures and dashed to all sides. The dark golden worms of the void entered their bodies. The 4 of them rolled on the ground in pain. Luli ordered the worms of the void, "Bite off their feet." The worms of the void could hear simple commands. They all gathered at the 4's feet. Soon, the 4 of them screamed like pigs being slaughtered. Their feet were bitten off. Not even bones were left. Worms. Young Master Qin and the others' expressions greatly changed. Miss Cheong, Miss Mu, and the others all revealed looks of terror. Girls were most afraid of these poisonous insects, not to mention how powerful the void worm was. It had bitten off 4 people's feet in an instant. Worms of the void, worms of the void. Young Master Yin screamed in pain. He remembered something. Glaring at Luli, he said, You are whoosh." Before young Master Yin could finish his words, Luli ordered the worms of the void, "Bite him to death." The worms of the void in young Master Yin's body moved. All of them began to bite. Young Master Yin rolled around in pain. In the end, he trembled. His soul was bitten off, and he died. Buzzing, young Master Yin's interspatial ring, stamp, armor, and weapons were taken off. At this moment, everyone quieted down. Young Master Fu and the others stopped screaming and looked at Luli in fear. Chapter 1970. There was an unwritten rule at the second heaven. Forces could fight and kill powerful warriors of their own families, but usually they would not kill the heir of the other party, the most talented disciples of the younger generation. The young disciples were the heritage of a force or a family, the hope for the continuation of the family. If the most talented disciple of the younger generation was killed, then the heritage might disappear, which would affect the foundation of the force or family. Once such a situation occurred, it would lead to a powerful counterattack from this power or family. His foundation had already been destroyed, so what else did he have to worry about? He would fight to the death. Therefore, the designated heir of a force or family would not kill unless they were ready to fight to the death. Usually, they would just hurt and humiliate the heir. The storm area had been stable recently. The forces were living in harmony. Therefore, the top young masters of the younger generation were relatively safe. Over the years, there had never been a case of a divine son or goddess being killed. Today, something unexpected happened. Young Master Yin had been designated as the divine son by the Black Flame Hall. He was the designated heir of the Black Flame Hall. Now that he was killed, everyone was stunned. Young Master Qin, Lady Qiong, and the others opened their eyes wide in disbelief. As for young Master Fu and the others, they were scared out of their wits. If Luli dared to kill a divine son, then he would kill all of them. Their legs were bitten off, and they couldn't even run away. If Luli were to make a move, all of them would die. The 13 of them were divine sons and goddesses. They knew they might die in the palace of immortals, but they never thought they would be killed. Even though they couldn't see clearly from the mountain, they did hear young Master Yan's miserable cries. They could also vaguely see young Master Yan's inner armor and interspatial ring coming off. Everyone had guessed it, but they couldn't believe it. Luli would not kill young Master Yin unless he was out of his mind. That would be a declaration of war against the Black Flame Hall. If Luli had no background, then he would be hunted down by the Black Flame Hall. If he did, then it would trigger a deadly war between the Black Flame Hall and their forces. Everyone was exclaiming with mixed feelings. Luli, on the other hand, was calm. He and the Black Flame Hall were already in a life-or-death situation. What else did he have to worry about? He didn't want to kill, but young Master Yin had recognized him. In desperation, he couldn't care less. Whoosh! In a flash, he rushed to young Master Yan's corpse and grabbed his Shao Yin battle armor and spatial ring. Even though the few people nearby were in pain, they didn't dare to make any noise. They stared at Lu Li and didn't dare to show any hatred. Nobody was not afraid of death. If they could, they would try. But now, they had no strength to fight back. They had to wait for Lu Li's final decision. Young Master Go, who was standing next to young Master Qin and the others, secretly felt lucky that he was forced to the lakeside by Lu Li. He didn't choose to rush up and fight Lu Li to the death. Instead, he retreated. Otherwise, he would end up like the other four. Lu Li looked at young Master Fu. His eyes were as emotionless as the eyes of the god of death. Young Master Fu felt a chill down his spine. Lu Li was disgusted by this man. He would rather meet a real villain than a hypocrite like this. He took 2 steps towards young Master Fu, killing intent emanating from his body, causing young Master Fu to be shocked. He panicked and shouted, "Sir, please don't act recklessly. We can talk things out." "My friend." Right at that moment, young Master Qin suddenly spoke. He said in a deep voice, "When it is possible to forgive, forgive, and forget. They tried to take your elixir, but they didn't inflict any substantial harm to you. You have hurt them badly, and they have learned their lesson. Give them a chance, and do me a favor." Young Master Qin's words were appropriate. He didn't threaten Lu Li by saying that killing them would incur the wrath of several forces. Young Master Qin was clear that if he threatened Lu Li now, it would backfire. Lu Li's killing intent faded away. He himself knew that he had offended the Black Flame Hall and would be hunted down by them. If he killed them, then he would be hunted down by several forces. Even if he went back to the Omen Island at once, several forces might come together to ask the Devil King for Lu Li. "All right," Lu Li said after a moment of silence. "I will spare your lives for young Master Qin's sake. Elixir, everyone can take it." Lu Li glared at them coldly and said, "I did not rely on you to come to the island. I solved the room myself. It has nothing to do with you. You came to take my elixir and try to kill me. So I broke your legs. Will you accept your defeat?" Young Master Fu and the others were swearing to themselves. Luli had beaten them, and now he wanted them to kneel down and say that they were beaten well. The four of them said nothing. When Luli's eyes grew colder, young Master Fu made up his mind and shouted, "I accept your defeat." "Yes." Young Master Bu and the other two said gloomily. Luli waved his hand and said, "Then treat your wounds here and don't do anything. I don't mind killing one more of you." Buzzing, the worms of the void in the air and the ones in their bodies flew underground and then into Luli's body. They were all taken into the mountain. Luli walked over in strides. He sat down near the exit and told Blood Fairy to solve the rune at the exit. He pretended to be observing the rune, but he was actually observing young Master Fu and young Master Qin outside the island. He had already shocked the crowd, and now he had enough time to decipher the divine inscriptions at the exit. When the rune was solved, he would leave at once. He would find a way to get out of the palace and run away. Young Master Fu and the others did not act rashly. Their legs were bitten off, so they could not do anything. They all took out healing pellets and lay on their sides to tend to their wounds. They were in a sorry state, which made them feel humiliated. Young Master Qin and the others did not move. They continued to hover by the island. The island was protected by the plaza, where divine energy could not be used. On top of that, Luli had the horrifying insects. Nobody was confident that they could defeat Luli. What? The mountain was bustling with noise and excitement. People were discussing in a low voice. Their faces were pale and gloomy at the same time. They had thought that Luli would be killed easily. Little did they expect that things would turn out this way. Time moved on. 2 hours later, young Master Fu and the others had recovered a bit. The wounds on their legs were all healed, but they did not take the elixir to regrow their legs at once. They sat on the ground and stared at Luli coldly. Young Master Qin and the others did not do anything. They just flew lower and stayed close to the beach. They were patient. Nobody said a word. They waited for Luli to solve the rune at the exit. 4 hours later, the rune at the exit began to glow. Then, the runes near the exit gradually sank into the ground. The rune was cracked. Young Master Qin and the others were shocked. Luli did nothing. He just stared at the exit. Could he solve the rune at a distance using his mind? Everyone's psychic power was suppressed. Therefore, no one could see Blood Fairy underground. Naturally, they were surprised. Swish! Luli released a hand print toward the exit. This time, there was no glow. The rune at the exit was cracked. "Sir, wait." When Luli stood up and was about to walk to the exit, Lady Qiong suddenly said. Her voice was pleasant, like pearls falling on a jade plate. There was a trace of shyness on her face, which added a touch of charm to her pretty face. "Ah!" Everyone turned to her. They were shocked to see the shyness on Lady Qiong's face. Chapter 1971. Luli stopped and turned around to look at Lady Qiong. He asked, "Lady, what can I do for you?" Lady Qiong paused for a bit, as if she found it hard to speak. After the time for 5 breaths, she said, "I am Ning Yu Qiong, and I am from the Alliance of Immortals. Can you do me a favor?" Everyone was stunned. Some young masters were jealous. Young Master Qin, on the other hand, didn't show any strange expressions. Instead, he seemed to be thinking about something. Luli said in a deep voice, "Tell me what is first." "I want the divine herb that you just plucked. It's that golden spirit herb, crimson sungrass." Lady Qiong said. Seeing Luli's eyes turning cold, she continued, "I am not asking you to give it to me for free. I will buy it with divine origin gold. Just name your price." "You want to buy herb?" Luli frowned. He didn't know any of the herbs, and he didn't know their value or function. What if the Scarlet Sun was a herb for body refinement? He was not familiar with Lady Qiong, so he didn't want to sell it. These young masters and young ladies had many tricks up their sleeves. Luli was afraid that he would be tricked. Seeing that Luli didn't say anything, Lady Qiong became anxious. She bowed to him and begged, "Young master, the Scarlet Sun is of extreme yang and the strongest herb at the second heaven. I have a senior who was poisoned by the haze. He has been suffering from it for years and is in so much pain that he would rather die. The Alliance of Immortals has sent people to search for a long time, but they couldn't find the Scarlet Sun. That is why I am asking." Young Master Qi nodded and said, "My friend, Yu Qiong is right. I know something about it. A while ago, Yu Qiong went to the auction at the Palace of Heaven Music to look for herbs of extreme yang. Can you give it to me? You can name your price. I owe you one." Luli still said nothing, but deep down, he was starting to believe Lady Qiong's words. After a moment of silence, he asked, "What is the main effect of the Scarlet Sun? Don't hold anything back." Seeing that Luli had loosened his tone, Lady Qiong was delighted. She hurriedly said, "Crimson Sun, a herb of extreme yang. It is of great help to warriors cultivating fundamental principle of fire. It can also restrain objects of darkness and can dissolve most energy of extreme yin." "Yes." Young Master Qi nodded and said, "I swear on my honor that what Yu Qiong said is correct. Friend, after you go out, you can also look up the attributes of the Scarlet Sun grass." Luli glanced over to the other young masters and young ladies. None of them were surprised. Lady Qiong must be telling the truth. Luli nodded and said, "I can get it to you, but I don't want divine origin gold." After he left, Luli would be hunted down by the Black Flame Hall. Even if he had the divine origin gold, he wouldn't know where to buy the elixirs. Also, those warriors probably didn't have much divine origin gold with them. Miss Qiong's expression changed slightly as she asked, "Then what do you want?" "I want you." Luli suddenly stopped in the middle of his sentence. He pointed at Lady Qiong. The expressions of the young masters changed. Even young Master Qin showed killing intent in his eyes. Luli smiled, pointed down, and continued, "I want your gourd." "Young Master Qin, don't worry. I haven't finished yet." "Humph." Even though young Master Qin was relieved, he still looked uncomfortable. He stared at Luli and said, "My friend, please don't make jokes like this again. I don't care about anything else except for this." "No," Lady Qiong said, "this gourd was given to me by our family master. There is a secret method of our family on it. This thing cannot be shared. Even if we die, we must destroy this gourd first." Young Master Qin thought about it. A turquoise bead appeared in his hand. He said, "My friend, this bead of mine is called Wood Bead. It has Wood spiritual energy and can bring the dead back to life. It is a top-level artifact. It is worth at least 100 million divine origin gold. I will trade it for the Crimson Sun. What do you think?" Young Master Qin. Lady Qiong was moved. She looked at young Master Qin. The other two young ladies were touched as well. Young Master Qin was a man of affection. For Lady Qiong, he was willing to offer such a treasure. "No," Luli refused without a second thought. If he were injured, he would have enough pellets to treat his wounds if he had the chance. If he didn't even have time to heal himself, then he must have run into powerful enemies. By then, he wouldn't even be able to run away. Healing would be pointless. Lady Qiong became anxious again. She bit her teeth and said, "Young master, I cannot give you the gourd. How much divine origin gold do you need? I will try my best to get it for you." "I don't want divine origin gold," Luli said with determination. He thought about it and said, "I heard that Lady Qiong bought a drop of blood of a fairy beast. Do you have that drop of immortal beast blood with you? If you do, I will trade with you." "Take it. I will trade with you." Without any hesitation, Lady Qiong nodded and agreed. She had been carrying the drop of blood with her after she bought it. She didn't use it. She didn't like to cultivate her body. It would be painful to consume that drop of blood. Therefore, she never used it. Lady Qiong suddenly thought of something. She looked at young Master Qin and said with guilt, "I am sorry, young Master Qin." "It's okay." Young Master Qin smiled lightly and said, "That thing is yours now. Since it is yours, it is up to you to decide." Buzzing, Lady Qiong took out a jade box at once. She mobilized divine energy in her hand, and the jade box became transparent. A drop of blood was faintly visible. Luli's blood was boiling. "Okay." Luli took out the Crimson Sun and opened the jade box. A golden grass was about to fly out. Luli grabbed it and threw it into the jade box. Luli shook the jade box and said, "Lady Qiong, throw me the blood of the fairy beast, and I will give you the Crimson Sun. Be careful, Lady Mu reminded him. If Luli took the blood of the fairy beast and went back to the exit, then nobody could do anything to him. Lady Cheong was hesitating as well. Young Master Qin smiled and said, "Give it to him. I don't think this friend will be so short-sighted." Young Master Qin's words were quite appropriate. His underlying meaning was clear. To steal the blood of Lady Cheong would be to offend the Qin family and the League of Immortals. Swish! Lady Cheong made up her mind. She threw the jade box to Lu Li. He caught it with one hand and felt it. He was overjoyed. He had thought that he had no fate with the blood of the fairy beast. Little did he expect that there would be light at the end of the tunnel. Finally, he got it. Swish! He threw the Crimson Sun with force. He did not play any tricks. The jade box flew to Lady Cheong's side, and she grabbed it. Lady Cheong opened the box a crack and poked her head out. She put on a beautiful smile. Okay. Lu Li glanced over the crowd, cupped his fists, and said to young Master Qin and the others, "Guys, the mountains are high and the rivers are long. I will leave now. See you again." Young Master Qin cupped his fists and Lady Cheong bowed. Lu Li then looked at young Master Fu and the others. He thought about it and said, "Young masters, I am sorry. If you want to hunt me down in the future, just come at me. But I am not a broad-minded man. I will not offend those who do not offend me. But if someone offends me, I will fight to the death." Swish! Chapter 1972. Lu Li had left, but it was still quiet. Nobody dashed into the exit with Lu Li at once. They just stood there in silence. Lu Li's killing of young Master Yin had shocked everyone. He could alter the sacred runes and build a dojo. What if he went after Lu Li and built another one? Elixirs were precious, but life was more precious. Everyone here was from a big family. Their families or forces were not in need of treasures. Naturally, they would not risk their lives for treasures. Young Master Fu and the others were embarrassed. Usually, they were handsome and graceful. But now, their legs were broken and they were covered in blood. It was hard for them to even sit up. Their image in the eyes of others was ruined. They would feel humiliated and ashamed. Buzzing. Young Master Fu was smart. He took out a pagoda, an interspatial artifact. He went in. The others followed suit. They went into their own interspatial artifacts and were too afraid to show their faces. "Let's go and bring the others here." Young Master Qin looked around and said, they had promised to bring everyone to the island. They could not go back on their words now. They could survive the sacred rune dojo. It was not a problem to bring 1 or 2 people each time. Okay, let's go back. Lady Cheong was in a good mood after she got the Crimson Sun. She put on a rare smile, and her eyes were glowing. She was so beautiful that the other young masters were tempted. The other young masters wanted to go to the next level. After all, who knew what other treasures were in there? What if Lu Li took them all? But due to the current situation, they had to turn around and go back. Some of them prayed that Lu Li would be trapped in the next level until he died. Some of them even thought about asking powerful warriors of their families to hunt down Lu Li and take all his treasures as soon as they got out of here. Young Master Qin and the others had been flying for an hour, but they had tried their best. They couldn't go back now. Therefore, it took them more than an hour to come back. Every one of them tried to take 2 or 3 people, and they flew slowly. They sped up after they were sure that everything was fine. Originally, there were 13 of them. Now, 1 of them had been killed, and 4 of them were recovering. They could only bring 8 people with them. After the first batch of 18 people successfully arrived, all of them felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders. Young Master Qin and the others came back again. With 4 people, they brought more than 30 people with them at once. For people was already the limit. There were more than 30 people on each trip, and there were 600 to 700 people on the mountain. It would take more than 20 trips, and they would have to rest in between. Conservatively speaking, it would take 3 to 4 days. So slow. By the time we all enter the next stage, I'm afraid all the treasures will have been taken by that bastard. Right? Yeah, it's only a few days. What if there's a Saint King Divine weapon on the next floor? Sigh. There's no point in thinking about it. We can only wait. Humph. This person killed young Master Yin and obtained 15 stalks of divine medicine by himself. He had already incurred the wrath of the masses. As long as there's a chance, we'll join forces to kill him and divide the divine medicine and treasures equally. So what if he left first? Most likely, some of the young masters had already sent a secret message for the experts of their clans to wait nearby. Right? As soon as he goes out, he will be killed. A little divine body dares to be so arrogant? He's just courting death. The people on the mountain were getting impatient. They gathered in groups of 2s and 3s. Many of them were filled with righteous indignation, wishing they could skin Luli alive. Luli was only at the first tribulation realm. He had to rely on the power of the divine patterns to get the divine medicine and suppress the young masters. Therefore, it was inevitable that people were not convinced, jealous, and resentful. If Luli were young Master Qin, born in a prestigious family and powerful, no one would dare to say a word. Presumably, no one would dare to let out a fart, and many people would even worship him. That was human nature. Of course, there were some who didn't mind it and admired Luli. Luli's courage to kill the divine son of the Hall of Black Flames made many feel inferior. Luli didn't know what the others were thinking. He didn't want to know either. He had arrived at the next level and was in big trouble. It wasn't that he was in danger or that some strange creatures were going to attack him. It was just that he was at the foot of a huge stone mountain and he couldn't go up. The stone mountain was huge, like a pyramid, at least more than 10,000 feet high. The foot of the mountain was covered by black air. Luli couldn't see what was at the bottom, but as soon as he got closer to the black air, he sensed danger. He had to go up. The exit must be at the peak. However, there was a strong force field around the stone mountain that suppressed Luli. Luli tried. He could only go up for thousands of feet, and then he couldn't move anymore. He could not use psychic power here, but he could use divine energy. Luli used the unfettered steps and circled around the stone mountain. Apart from the bare stone walls, there was nothing else. If he wanted to leave this place, he could either head down and enter the black fog, or he could think of a way to head up. The black haze was too dangerous. As soon as Luli got closer, he could feel the fatal danger. This kind of danger could not be deceived. Luli had been living on the edge of life and death for many years. He could tell. I cannot go up. Luli tried again. He could only go for 1,000 feet before he couldn't move anymore. He did not want to waste any more of his energy. He sent a message to Blood Fairy. Blood Fairy, there are powerful divine glyphs on this mountain. There's a powerful force suppressing me. Help me check it out and see if I can get to the top. Okay. Blood Fairy used the rune. Luli sat on the ground, waiting for the result. At the same time, he could sense the surroundings. If someone was teleported in, he would have to fight. Right? Let me see if I can take control of young Master Yan's artifact. Luli remembered that stamp. That was a secret artifact with many strange runes on it. It must be a piece of treasure. Luli took out the stamp. It was beautiful with a strange beast carved on it. Luli couldn't tell what kind of metal the stamp was made of. It was cold to the touch, like mutton fat jade. Buzzing, Luli used divine energy to envelop the stamp. It had been an hour, but the stamp showed no reaction. Luli frowned. He must decipher the runes in the stamp. If he could not do that, the stamp would be rendered useless, just like the bead he got from Killer of Guisha. Blood Fairy was studying the runes. Luli could not tell her to decipher the runes. He had to wait quietly. He didn't ask Blood Fairy to build a plaza of runes. If she could go up, then everything would be fine. If something went wrong, Luli still had other cards up his sleeve. Lady E gave him 3 surge pellets. Once he used them, he believed he could fight against a heaven god of 3 trials. Time moved on. Nobody was teleported over. After more than 2 hours, Luli felt relieved. It seemed that the young masters and young ladies would not come anytime soon. They would only come after everyone was taken to the island. Blood Fairy sent a message as well. Master, I cannot decipher the runes here. They are too complicated. There is no chance of deciphering them. Luli was surprised. Without any hesitation, he ordered, then build a plaza of runes nearby. It doesn't have to be a big one. Just an area with a radius of 2 miles will do. If Blood Fairy could not decipher the runes, Luli would not be able to leave. He had to protect himself first. He would figure out a way later. Or he could wait for young Master Qin and the others to come up with a solution together. Chapter 1973. The mountain was filled with runes. Blood Fairy built a plaza for Lu Li in the time, for 3 incense sticks to burn, just as she did on the island. Lu Li asked Blood Fairy to activate it. As soon as the plaza appeared, Lu Li's divine energy was suppressed. Just like before, he could not use any divine energy. He walked around. Blood Fairy's runes could only cover an area with a radius of 2 miles. To the west of the mountain, those outside the range would not be affected. Okay, 2 miles was enough for Lu Li to move around. If someone were to launch long-range attacks, he could dodge. After a moment's thought, he tossed the seal into the sacred mountain and let Blood Fairy examine it while he wandered around the area to see if he could find a way to break it. The runes on the mountain were too strong. Not even Blood Fairy could do anything. Lu Li had to figure it out himself. His physical body was strong enough to withstand strong gravity. Even so, he could only go up to 1,000 feet. He believed that if young Master Qin and the others did not have any special methods, they could only go up to 1,000 feet. Should I try using the mountain? Lu Li took out the mountain and dashed in. The mountain was a piece of artifact, but it was incomplete. Even so, the runes in it must be strong. Maybe it could withstand the pressure. Whoosh! The mountain flew up slowly. Lu Li did not dare to go too fast, in case the mountain was crushed. As they went up, the mountain slowed down. Little Six sent Lu Li a message. The mountain was suppressed by a mysterious force. 1,000 feet. The mountain did not slow down. Lu Li had a glimmer of hope. Maybe the mountain could fly up. 2 miles. The mountain slowed down. Lu Li's mind was weighed down. It would be amazing if the mountain could reach 2 or 3 miles. Only when a mountain reached 2 miles did Little Six send Lu Li a message. The pressure on a mountain was too great. They could not go up or else it would collapse. This mountain is tens of thousands of feet high. We are not even halfway to the mountain. Lu Li told the mountain to fly down while he thought to himself. It seemed that treasures could be used to withstand the force field of the mountain. That being said, even if young Master Qin and the others were to use treasures, they would not be able to go up, let alone bring a group of people up. It can't be a dead end. The elders of the great families of the Immortal Palace must have come here before. Otherwise, they would not be so assured to let their disciples come here. There should be a way out here. Lu Li stepped back and pushed into the apotheosis of God's dojo. This name was given by Lu Li. Obviously, it was a dojo for sealing divine energy. He dashed out of the divine mountain and looked at the rolling black mist below. He murmured in surprise, "Is the path to survival down there?" Lu Li had been to many dangerous places before. Usually, there were many places where the path to survival was a dead end. But Lu Li did not dare to try. He sat quietly, waiting for Blood Fairy's result. "Master!" An hour later, Blood Fairy's voice came through. "This seal is similar to the beads from before, but the divine glyphs inside are more complicated. To control it, you'll need to learn a special way to activate the glyphs inside. Only then will you be able to control it." Yes, Lu Li had expected this. He nodded and asked, "How long do you need to crack it?" "At least a month." Lu Li was not surprised by Blood Fairy's reply. Blood Fairy's mastery of the divine glyphs was not good enough. She needed time to learn them. "Okay, don't worry about the bead for now. Help me crack the divine glyphs on the seal," Lu Li ordered. The seal was a piece of artifact with miraculous powers. Cracking it would be helpful for Lu Li to leave the palace of Immortal Palace. While Blood Fairy was focused on the divine glyphs, Lu Li was struggling. He wanted to consume that drop of blood. If he could refine it, his physical body would definitely improve tremendously. However, the drop of blood was so powerful. Who could say if something unexpected would happen? Young Master Fu could come at any time. If he passed out, he could be killed. Never mind. I'll take it when I get out. Lu Li suppressed his thoughts. Back in the Heaven Reverse universe, he had consumed several drops of blood and awakened bloodline skills. But he passed out. The blood of immortal beasts was so powerful that he might pass out as well. He had many elixirs with him. The thing was, he did not know the properties of the elixirs. Naturally, he could not consume them at will. If something went wrong, he would be doomed eternally. He had to sit there and wait for young Master Cheen and the others to come and see if they could find a way out. Time moved on. For days later, the peak at the south began to glow. More and more people came out. Soon, the south was bustling. Luli opened his eyes while he was cultivating. Hundreds of people had come. That guy is here. A moment later, someone noticed him. Someone was sneaking over, probably to hunt for treasures. Luli's shout caught many people's attention. Many people heard some noises. Then, psychic power came over. Young Master Cheen and the others were surprised to see Luli sitting there. Some of them turned to the peak with solemn expressions. Luli was sitting here with his legs crossed. But could they go up? Some were secretly delighted. Luli did not go up, which meant that the treasures were not taken. They still had a chance. More people showed killing intent. This was a spacious place, and Luli was all by himself. Could they surround him and kill him? Young Master Fu and the others had the most intense killing intent. They should all have top-level elixirs with them. They had recovered in just a couple of days. None of them looked pale. The three of them looked at Luli with fire in their eyes. They all had the urge to rush up and cut Luli into pieces. This mountain, we cannot go up. Someone had already made his way to the peak, trying to get the treasures there. However, he could not move after he was more than 1,000 feet. Young Master Cheen and the others looked over. Someone did not believe it. He rushed up to the peak, but he could not move after he was more than 1,000 feet. Let me try. A young master at the third tribulation rushed up. He was fast. In the blink of an eye, he was more than 1,000 feet. But clearly, he had slowed down. He moved on. When he was more than 1,000 feet, he could not move anymore. However, a piece of black iron appeared in his hand. The iron piece flew to his head, giving out rays of light. There was also a stream of airflow that enveloped him. Hoi! He roared and sped up again. After he was more than 1,000 feet, he slowed down again. He was sweating profusely. His blood vessels were popping out. His back was arched as if he was carrying a mountain on his back. After he was more than 1,000 feet, he turned around and rushed down with a roar. It was easy to go up and down the mountain. He came down in an instant, panting. After a long time, he said, "There is a mysterious force field on the mountain. It is horrifying. I cannot go up." Young Master Cheen and the others looked at each other. They looked more solemn. This man was not weaker than them. If he could only go more than 3,000 feet, then young Master Cheen could only go more than 3,000 or 4,000 feet. The mountain was more than 1,000 feet. How could they go up? Chapter 1974. Now, everyone understood why Luli was sitting here with his legs crossed and didn't leave. Many people were trying. Some were wandering around looking for a way out. Some even went closer to the black haze, trying their best to explore. Young Master Fu, young Master Bu, and young Master Li walked together. They pretended to be looking around, but actually they were secretly talking about how to kill Luli. Luli was sitting there with his legs crossed, unprepared. It seemed that they could kill him easily if they surrounded him. However, the death of young Master Yin deterred them from taking any reckless actions. Luli really had the guts to kill people. If what happened at the island happened again, Luli would not show any mercy. He would kill everyone mercilessly. After all, they had already offended the Black Flame Hall. They didn't mind offending more forces, did they? Those who had nothing to lose were not afraid of those who had nothing to lose. The several young masters were well aware of this. Therefore, they didn't rush out at once. Instead, they chose to talk secretly while walking. They came to a conclusion after they walked around for a while. They were going to encourage some people to have a try. If there was a chance, they would make a move. They were all outstanding talents of forces in the sea of storm with great influence. Usually, many young masters of average families would follow them and be at their beck and call. They gathered more than a dozen people. After a round of encouragement and promises, 9 of them agreed to attack Luli later. They promised that as soon as the 9 young masters made their moves, They would coordinate with each other, and each of them would get one elixir from Luli. At the same time, they would use their family's influence to elevate the 9 young masters to higher positions in their families. The elixir didn't matter. What tempted many people was the promise. With the support of young Master Fu and the other young masters, their status in their families would rise. They would have access to many resources, and they would have the chance to become family masters. After some secret discussion, the young masters dispersed and pretended to look for clues. At the same time, young Master Fu and the other young masters pretended to rush to the top of the mountain. But they all turned back after going for more than 10 miles. Young Master Qin and Lady Qiong tried as well. They noticed what young Master Fu and the other young masters were doing, and they had some guesses. Lady Qiong frowned. She wanted to say something, but stopped on second thought. Young Master Qin smiled at her and then looked at Lu Li. He said, "My friend, be careful." He didn't say much, but his meaning was clear. Lu Li nodded to him and Lady Qiong. Then he went back to sitting with his legs crossed, emotionless. He sat in the God Conferment dojo. If it was an attack from outside, he could easily dodge it. If it came in, he was even less afraid. The 9 of them followed a group of people over. They spread out and didn't approach Lu Li. Instead, they moved forward from different directions, pretending to investigate. Young Master Fu, young Master Bu, and the rest also came from afar, but their speed was very slow. Kill! When the 9 of them were in position, one of them shouted and the 9 of them moved at the same time. They rushed over from all sides and got close to Lu Li in an instant. They took out their weapons, trying to kill Lu Li. Among these 9 people, none of them was a 3rd tribulation war god. 6 of them were at the peak of the 2nd tribulation, while the rest were all 2nd tribulation warriors. As soon as the 9 moved, Lu Li sensed it. He was sitting with his eyes closed, but he had been using the trace of Tao to sense the surroundings. The 9 of them rushed to his side, but he still didn't move. He continued to sit cross-legged like an old monk in meditation. However, at that moment, the ground beneath him trembled slightly, and a sky full of void worms flew out. Boom, boom, boom. The 9 of them were so fast that they arrived in an instant. Their attacks landed on Lu Li at the same time. 9 muffled sounds came out. Lu Li didn't move one bit. It was as if the 9 people's attacks had landed on a piece of meteorite. They didn't inflict any substantial damage to Lu Li, only leaving some marks on his body. Buzzing, the void worms whooshed up and enveloped the 9 of them. Sensing that many worms were entering their bodies, the 9 of them turned pale. They turned to young Master Fu and the others. Seeing that they didn't do anything, the 9 of them felt hopeless, as if they had been betrayed. Their hearts sank into a bottomless abyss. The void worms began to bite. The 9 of them rolled around on the ground in pain. Lu Li still didn't open his eyes. He ordered the void worms, "Bite off their arms." The void worms surged into the arms of the 9 individuals, and their hands immediately turned into white bones at a speed visible to the naked eye. Their hands were turned into white bones at the shoulder level. Some of them were rolling on the ground in pain, and their forearm bones were all broken. Hiss, hiss, the group of people sucked in a breath of cold air. The people in the vicinity were all alarmed and gathered around. Many people were taken aback to see the 9's hands turning into bones. Some young ladies turned away as they couldn't bear the sight. The void worms stopped without Lu Li's order after the arms were bitten off. 3 of them crawled up in terror, trying to run toward young Master Fu. Anyone who dares to move will be turned into bones. Lu Li didn't open his eyes. He moved his lips and said. His voice was like the voice of a messenger from hell. The 3 trembled. None of them dared to run. Stop shouting. If you hear any more screams, I will make sure that you will never be able to make a sound again. Lu Li opened his mouth again. The people who were screaming all shut their mouths. Their faces were twisted. Sweat poured down like rain. They were trembling. Some of them sat up with their bony hands hanging down. Blood was still oozing out. It was a miserable and horrifying scene. Many people were sad. The 9 of them were young masters from the Sea of Storms. They used to drink and chat together. Seeing how miserable they were, people couldn't bear to see them like this. They shared a common hatred. Even young Master Qin and Lady Qiong felt sorry for them. Lady Qiong turned her face away. Young Master Qin opened his mouth several times but said nothing in the end. Young Master Fu and the others stood together with gloomy expressions. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. However, they didn't move just now, and they wouldn't move now. Actually, they wanted to wait for the nine to injure Lu Li or stall him, so that they could launch a sneak attack. However, the nine of them didn't inflict any harm to Lu Li. Instead, they were badly injured. Lu Li's cruel means had shocked them. Do you think I'm being too cruel? Lu Li looked at the hundreds with a trace of mockery in his eyes. He paused and said, if I didn't have some means to protect myself, I would have become minced meat by now. Am I destined to die? These 9 people attacked me first, and I can't fight back? I don't think there is such a thing in the world. It's just a broken arm. You can grow it back as long as you have the elixirs. We are all warriors. If you can't face life and death on the path of Wu Dao, what can you achieve in the future? Nobody said anything. What Lu Li said made sense. That being said, they were used to standing on the side of reason. Lu Li got 15 elixirs all by himself and killed young Master Yin. This had aroused public anger. Therefore, many people were not on the same side. Whatever Lu Li said was wrong to them. Young Master Fu, young Master Bu, young Master Li. Lu Li looked at the 3 and said in a cold voice, if you want to kill me, just come at me. Why do you have to borrow a knife to kill me? I don't have a rune dojo here, so your divine energy will not be suppressed. Come here. I will fight the 3 of you by myself. Is there anyone else who wants to kill me? All of you come here. I will deal with you all by myself. Chapter 1975. Lu Li was so arrogant. He was declaring war against hundreds of people. Some people felt their blood boiling, and they almost rushed forward. But when they looked at young Master Fu, young Master Li, and young Master Bu, they calmed down when they saw that young Master Fu, young Master Li, and young Master Bu had no intention of doing anything. Lu Li had made it clear that young Master Fu and the others wanted to kill Lu Li, but they didn't dare to do it themselves. Instead, they encouraged the 9 to do it. Now that the 9 were in such a miserable state, they didn't want to save them. The 9 were lessons to be learned. How could they be so stupid? What if they became young Master Fu's weapons for nothing? Just now, when the 9 attacked together, they couldn't even break Lu Li's defense. What could they do? 2 Tribulation Heaven Immortals could not hurt Lu Li. They could only count on young Master Fu and the others. They were 3 Tribulation Heaven Immortals with powerful treasures. If they worked together, they had a chance to kill Lu Li. That was what young Master Fu and the others were thinking as well. But they didn't dare to move. Lu Li said that there was no dojo, which made them even more afraid. They had seen Lu Li's cruel means. They believed that if they could not kill Lu Li, they would face a miserable end. Young masters of major families were shrewd and knew how to endure. It was never too late for a gentleman to seek revenge. When they got out, they could ask powerful warriors of their families to hunt Lu Li down and crush him into pieces. They didn't have to risk their lives. Everyone was silent. Young Master Fu and the others didn't dare to move. The 9 were still bleeding on the ground. The pain almost made them pass out. They couldn't even cry out. They had to hold it in. It was a strange scene. Since you don't have the guts to do it, then don't play tricks like this again. If you do it again, I will kill you. Lu Li glanced at them coldly. Then, the worms of the void flew out from the 9 and went underground. Lu Li sent the 9 away and shouted, listen up, you 9. Sometimes you must be smart. Don't be taken advantage of so easily. Sometimes the pie that others draw for you may look good, but you have to see if you can live to eat it. Also, you have to see if it is real. The 9 fell to the ground. Many of them had their hands broken and were screaming in pain. The people nearby hurriedly went over to help them up and fed them spiritual medicine to treat their injuries. One of them sat up with his legs crossed and glared at Lu Li with hatred, as if he wanted to eat Lu Li alive. Lu Li sensed it. He looked over and coldly said, Punk, I don't like the look in your eyes. Turn around. Sensing the coldness in Lu Li's eyes, the man was frightened and turned around out of instinct. Then he saw many people looking at him, and he immediately felt ashamed and angry. With red eyes, he shouted, "Grandson, if you have the guts, don't go out. If you go out, I will send people to cut you into 1,000 pieces." "Really?" Luli raised his eyebrows. He ordered the worms of the void at once. Gnaw him to death. Dozens of dark golden void worms flew out from underground, instantly arriving below this person. Then they rushed up, directly entering this person's soul. As the man screamed, his soul was devoured. He coughed up a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground dead. Luli told the worms of the void to come back from underground. Looking at the stunned people nearby, Luli said, "I hate being threatened. Since he wants to kill me, I will send him to hell first." Luli was like a beast baring his fangs again. He killed a man in an instant. Since psychic power was suppressed here, nobody could tell how the man died. They only felt that Luli took one look, and the man fell to the ground dead. Many people felt chills down their spines. This one tribulation heaven god was horrifying. Not only was he invulnerable, but he also had many strange means. "You've brought this upon yourself." This time, young Master Qin murmured without any sympathy. Luli had spared their lives, and this man was still so ignorant. If young Master Qin were in Luli's shoes, he would kill him as well. Luli stood there with pride. Glancing over the crowd, he said coldly, "I don't want to make trouble. Anyone who dares to mess with me will have to bear the consequences." With that said, Luli sat on the ground with his legs crossed, ignoring the hundreds present. He was still surrounded by blood. His bronze mask was cold and intimidating. His sworn enemy was sitting not far away from him, but young Master Fu and the others didn't dare to move. Their faces were burning. They felt they had been silently humiliated. There were hundreds of people nearby, and most of them were young masters and young ladies from the Sea of Storm. They were humiliated, but they didn't dare to say anything. "All right, let's all calm down." After a while, young Master Qin said, "Let's figure out a way to get up. If we cannot, we will all be trapped here for 10,000 years. Fighting among ourselves is pointless. Let's figure out a way to get out first." Young Master Qin had successfully changed the topic and given the others a way out. Now, no one was looking at Luli anymore. Everyone gathered together to discuss how to get up. This was to make the situation less awkward and at the same time, to cover up their anger and grievance. Young Master Fu and the others left with a group of people to the other side of the mountain. They couldn't control their anger when they saw Luli. Staying here would only make them feel humiliated. They might as well not see him. Gradually, most of the people went to the other side. Only young Master Qin, Lady Qiong, and Lady Mu were left. They gathered together to discuss. Luli sat with his legs crossed, quietly listening to their conversation to see if they could find a way to get up. Lady Qiong said, "The sacred pattern dojo is powerful. But before we came here, a forefather of my family said that there is a way out on every floor of the Palace of Immortals. He told me to find the way out on my own." "Yes." Lady Mu nodded and said in a low voice, "My granduncle also said that there is no dead end here. But he wouldn't tell me where the way out was. He told me to find it myself." "It is the same for the Qin family." Young Master Qin nodded and said, "The forefathers want us to come here to gain experience by ourselves. If everything is arranged for us, then it would be pointless for us to come here. We need to find our own way out. If I am right, the way out should be down there." "Down there?" Lady Qiong, Lady Mu, and the other three people's expressions changed. They could sense fatal danger as soon as they got close to the black fog. Was there really a way out down there? Putting one's life on the line. Young Master Qin nodded and said, "This Palace of Immortals only appears once every 10,000 years. Its origin is very powerful. It is said that the master of this Palace of Immortals was a peerless expert of the third heaven. Before he died, he left the Palace of Immortals in the second heaven. He set up the sacred pattern to prevent the older generation from coming in. He hoped that the younger generation would come here to gain experience and become stronger. If we don't have the determination to die and don't dare to go to the dead end, how can we find the way out? I will go and try first. You guys stay here and observe." The huge pagoda appeared in young Master Qin's hand. He slowly walked down. Lady Qiong and the others looked at him with worry. At this moment, Luli opened his eyes and looked at Qin Zhantian. His eyes revealed a hint of approval. Maybe the way out of this stage was contained in the dead end. This person is an outstanding talent. Chapter 1976. Young Master Qin's action attracted many people's attention. Some people were paying attention to him from afar. Seeing that young Master Qin was going down, many people looked at him, and some even ran over to watch. Young Master Qin ignored them and arrived at the side of the black fog. First, he flew the tower down slowly. There were runes flowing on the tower, and mysterious characters were glistening. The tower was emitting rays of light and horrifying qi and energy. This was a powerful secret treasure of a sect. The tower went down into the black fog. The rays of light pushed the black fog away for a radius of more than 10 feet. Everyone was hopeful. Maybe they could find the exit by going down there. Young Master Qin turned around and looked at Lady Qiong. He smiled and said, "You Qiong, if I die, I will pursue you again in my next life." With that said, young Master Qin walked down with determination. Lady Qiong didn't show any special expressions. She just said, "Young Master Qin, be careful." Young Master Qin walked into the black fog. Because of the rays of light from the tower, he was not hurt. He went on. The tower covered an area with a radius of more than 10 feet. Young Master Qin could go on with the black fog. Soon, young Master Qin went down for more than 100 feet. Everywhere he went, the black fog would gather. His body was enveloped by the black fog, and he disappeared from people's sight. Young Master Qin is such a wonderful man, Lady Mu exclaimed. Then she said to Lady Qiong in a low voice, "Sister Qiong, he is such a wonderful man, and he loves you so passionately. Don't you have any feelings?" "You do?" Lady Qiong turned to Lady Mu and said softly, "If you do, you can go after him. Men have the right to pursue women, and so do women. Young Master Qin is a good man, and he has done many things for me. But it is hard to tell when it comes to love. I have feelings for him, but I don't have any feelings. He is not the one for me." The two were talking in low voices, but Luli could hear them clearly with a trace of doubt. He pouted and felt sorry for young Master Qin. He had done so much for Lady Qiong. It was a pity that Lady Qiong didn't have any feelings for him. This relationship would be a regret. "I'm not going to pursue him," Miss Mu mischievously said. "Mother said that instead of marrying someone I like, it's better to marry someone who likes me. This way, he will spoil and love me every day." Sister Qiong, we women shouldn't hope to become peerless experts or overlords. It's better to find a man who likes us and live comfortably for the rest of our lives. If I want to stand at the top, I must step on countless corpses. That kind of life is not suitable for me. I'm different from you. Lady Qiong squinted and looked into the distance. I don't chase after things on purpose. I always follow my heart. I don't like to compromise, nor do I like to force myself. Everything depends on fate. If there is no man I like, I would rather be single for the rest of my life. Why must women attach themselves to men? You can also live a wonderful life. This Miss Qiong is quite a character. Luli nodded. It seemed that Lady Qiong was not pretending to be reserved at the auction. It was just her nature. On the other side, Miss Mu and Miss Qiong no longer spoke. They looked down into the black fog, waiting for young Master Qin to come out or stay there forever. Boom, boom, boom. After the time for one incense stick to burn, there came some noises of explosion, which made people nervous. But the noises of explosion didn't last long. After a while, everything quieted down. They blinked and looked at each other. Many people were discussing in a low voice. Did young Master Qin encounter some powerful beast down there? Or was he cracking some powerful divine glyphs? Or was he in danger? They didn't dare to go down. They had to wait. It was quiet down there. After an hour, everyone's mind was weighed down. Could it be that young Master Qin died down there? Time passed bit by bit, and everyone felt as if a day had passed like a year. After another hour, a hearty laughter rang out, causing everyone to be filled with astonishment. Ha ha ha. The laughter came from the peak. Everyone looked over and saw a man standing there. They were overjoyed because the laughter belonged to young Master Cheen. We made it. The way out is down there. Young Master Cheen, you are awesome. You found a way out. We can go out now. The most outstanding descendant of the Cheen clan is indeed extraordinary. It would be great if I could marry young Master Cheen. The surroundings were bustling. After the figure rushed down like a gust of wind, the people down there became even more lively. Young Master Cheen actually rushed down from the peak. He was very fast and arrived beside everyone in a few blinks of the eye. A group of people immediately surrounded him, asking questions and complimenting him. Young Master Cheen looked at young Lady Cheong and raised his hand to silence everyone. He said, "Everyone, there's a passage down there. If you enter it, you will reach the peak." Great! Everyone was excited. Young Master Fu and the others were secretly regretting. If they knew this was going to happen, they would have tried it. Seeing young Master Cheen's high-spirited and glorious face, they guessed that he had obtained something good on the peak. "Everyone, I will bring you up the mountain. However, I can only bring about 10 people at a time." Young Master Cheen beckoned to young Lady Cheong and said, "You Cheong, you can also use your treasures to resist the black fog. Just follow me." "All right." Young Lady Cheong and the others nodded. Since young Master Cheen had done his research, there must be no problem. The group quickly took action, summoning their artifacts one after another, each of them bringing 10 people with them as they rushed down. Half an hour later, the group appeared at the top of the mountain. An hour? Luli curled his lips. Young Master Cheen had been there for 2 hours for the first time. He must have obtained a lot of good stuff on the peak. Luli was not jealous. Young Master Cheen deserved to take the risk. Young Master Cheen and the others brought more than 100 people up at once. They all rushed down and continued to bring more people up the mountain. After several hours, everyone was brought up except for Luli. Nobody wanted to take Luli up. Lady Cheong wanted to repay the kindness, but she was a girl, and it was not convenient for her to do so. Also, if she suggested taking Luli up the mountain, young Master Fu and the others would be offended. Therefore, after she looked at Luli for a bit and saw that he was still sitting with his legs crossed, she said nothing. When everyone was up the mountain, young Master Cheen came down by himself. When he was about 1,000 feet away from Luli, he said, "My friend, do you need me to take you up?" Luli opened his eyes and said with a smile, "Thank you, but no. I can go up by myself." He had the 9 strange mountains. If worst came to worst, he could go up after he consumed the stamp. After all, he was not familiar with young Master Cheen. He wouldn't take the risk. What if he was attacked by young Master Cheen? Okay. Young Master Cheen threw over a map, which was clearly just drawn. He said, "There are some places with divine glyphs down there. This is the route I took. You can go up when you find the entrance." "Thank you." Luli put it away. Young Master Cheen added after some thoughts, "Also, I want to make a deal with you. I want to trade for a divine elixir. I will give you a page of the ancient scripture. I got it at the peak. It is a secret skill for body refinement." Chapter 1977. Young Master Cheen's words were straightforward. He came down from the peak, not only to bring Luli up, but also to trade for an elixir. There was only one page of the book on body refinement, and it was clearly incomplete. Luli didn't practice body refinement, so it was pointless for him to ask for it. He was interested in an elixir that might contain fragments of laws in heaven and earth. Luli could have a chance to learn a powerful, fundamental principle from it. Luli's eyes glowed. There was a secret skill on body refinement. He got it from the Palace of Immortals. If it was real, it would be of great help to him. Luli didn't hesitate for long before he asked, "What kind of elixir do you want? What are its attributes? Also, tell me the details about the skill. I hope young Master Cheen is not lying to me." "There is no point in lying to you," young Master Cheen said with a smile. "I hope we can be friends, not enemies. I have a feeling that you will become an immortal in the future. I'm not that stupid to be enemies with a divine physique of great perfection. The elixir I want is the white feather leaf. It may contain laws of light. If I am lucky, I can learn a fundamental principle of light after I consume it. Also, this elixir is beneficial to warriors that cultivate laws of light. As for its value, I cannot estimate it because it will not be put up for auction. If someone really wants to sell it, it will be worth at least 1 billion divine sources. As for this page of the book, I didn't read it in detail. I just skimmed it, and I lost interest when I realized it is about body refinement. I will not cultivate an immortal because it is too difficult. I was born with a body of light, and cultivating laws of fundamental principle is more suitable for me. My friend, if I say anything false, I will be punished by heaven within half a year and die without a burial place. Young Master Qin was sincere. He had wanted to trade the white feather leaf with Lu Li for a long time. But Lady Qiong needed the Crimson Sun, so he couldn't say much. Lu Li asked after a moment of silence, "Can I have a look at the book first?" It was a rude request. Lu Li could take the book and use the apatheicized dojo to suppress young Master Qin. Young Master Qin couldn't do anything to Lu Li. It was an unreasonable request. Okay, young Master Qin agreed after a moment of hesitation. A dark golden leaf flew out from his ring, and he threw the page to Lu Li. Lu Li grabbed the page. As soon as he did, he was sure that the ancient scripture was authentic. The material of the ancient scripture was too precious. There were strange patterns on it, and its aura was ancient. There was also an indescribable charm coming from the dark golden pages. There were more than 300 characters on it. Lu Li frowned as he glanced over. The characters were ancient. He could only make out the general meaning, but he couldn't understand them all. Xiao. On the other side, young Master Qin threw out another book and explained, "Friend, the words on the page are ancient divine characters. If you can't understand them, you can compare them with this book." Okay, Lu Li put away the book. He didn't check it immediately. Instead, he read it carefully. He could understand most of the words, so he could see something from it. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, Lu Li raised his head and said with certainty, "Okay, I will trade with you." Lu Li was sure that this was a supreme ancient scripture. If it were not incomplete, the value of this supreme ancient scripture would be immeasurable. Even the top families of the third heaven would be tempted. It was a pity that there was only 1 page. Lu Li could understand most of it. It was about the secret method to refine bones. Bones were the support of the body. When the bones were stronger, so was Lu Li's body. The incomplete ancient scripture was very important to Lu Li. Buzzing, Lu Li took out a jade box, opened it, closed it, and threw it to young Master Qin. He said, "This is the elixir you want." Young Master Qin took it over and was overjoyed. He cupped his fists in front of his chest and said, "Thank you, brother. This elixir is very important to me. What is your name? I will make friends with you. We're just taking what we need." Lu Li nodded. He thought about it and said, "My surname is Lu, god of massacre. I belong to no sect, and I am just a rogue cultivator." God of massacre. Good name. Young Master Qin couldn't help but praise. Then he remembered something and said, "I think there will be 1 more level at the peak, and then we will be teleported out. Brother Lu, you must be careful. I think the powerful warriors of the Black Flame Hall will be here soon. Young Master Fu and the others will not let it go so easily. I think they will use some secret method to invite their powerful warriors over." "It's okay." Lu Li waved his hand and said, "I have my ways." "Thank you, young Master Qin, for the warning." Supreme Immortal Body. Young Master Qin exclaimed in the end, "Once the Supreme Immortal Body is completed, you can defeat warriors at the second heaven, and you can even go to the third heaven to compete for supremacy. But it is difficult to complete the Supreme Immortal Body. It requires a large amount of elixirs to support it. Brother Lu, you are a rogue cultivator, which makes it even more difficult. I hope everything goes well for you. I am looking forward to the Supreme Immortal Body that is completed." With that said, young Master Qin rushed down. He took out the huge pagoda to protect himself and soon disappeared in the black air. Lu Li didn't move. He waited quietly. There used to be many people standing on the peak. Lu Li could see some dots on the peak. After an hour, those people all disappeared. They must have gone to the next level. Lu Li still didn't act rashly. What if a group of people ambushed him when he got to the peak? He took out the reference book and tried to understand every word on the ancient scripture. Just as young Master Cheen said, warriors of the Black Flame Hall might be on their way here. They might even have used some secret skills to open the space gates. Therefore, Luli didn't want to go out right away. He wanted to stay here for a while. The first was to crack the small seal. The second was to consume the drop of blood of the immortal beast. He was looking forward to what kind of bloodline skill he would get after he consumed the blood. 2 days, 5 days. After 5 days, Luli finally translated all the words on the ancient scripture. He also got the literal meaning. This was indeed a very powerful ancient scripture, the bone refinement skill. From it, he also learned that there were 3 other secret skills. One was to refine skin, another was to refine blood, and the last one was to refine spirit. It was a pity that there was only 1 page of the ancient scripture. He could not cultivate the other 3 without the scripture. The bone refinement skill was divided into 3 levels. With each level, the physical body would be several times stronger. The first level of bones would turn from white to yellow, the second yellow to black, and the third black to golden. According to what was written, as long as one managed to refine a golden-colored godly bone, every single bone would become a divine weapon, possessing great power. Even after death, the bones would not decay for millions of years, and could even be refined into a supreme divine weapon, possessing unfathomable power. Study. Luli looked up to the peak. Even though he didn't see anyone for 5 days, he was still worried. He planned to cultivate here for a couple of months. There were hundreds of people up there. They couldn't just hide for a couple of months, could they? Luli went into the land of illusion and focused on the bone refinement skill. This was neither a fundamental meaning nor a killing move, so it was easier for him to learn. In just half a month, Luli came out from cultivation. He had mastered the bone refinement skill. However, there was no joy in his eyes. Instead, he was solemn. This bone refinement skill requires a huge amount of divine energy. He sighed and said, if I cultivate according to the scripture and want to improve quickly, the divine energy in my body will be consumed in a couple of days. Cultivation alone will not work. I will need a huge amount of pellets to nourish me. In that case, I will be burning divine origin gold when I cultivate. No wonder young Master Cheen said that it is hard to cultivate an immortal body. I don't think any regular big family can stand such a horrifying consumption. Chapter 1978. Luli had been cultivating divine energy for many years. The divine energy in his pellet was surging, and it had changed several times. Now, it had turned into a light yellow color. In a normal situation, such as releasing divine energy to attack, the divine energy would not be used up even after more than a decade. Now, when he was learning the bone refinement skill, the divine energy would be used up in a couple of days. It was not hard to imagine how amazing this ancient skill was. Luli understood the principle of the bone refinement skill. It was to use divine energy to melt the bones and remove all the impurities in the bones so that the bones would be less dense and sturdier. At the same time, divine energy was converted from Xian energy in heaven and earth. Nourished by Xian energy, the bones would be changed as well. They would become unbreakable and full of strength. Let's try it. Luli had a lot of pellets with him. He didn't sell the top-level ones that could last him for months. He mobilized divine energy to use the bone refinement skill and began to refine his bones. While he was doing so, his bones glowed. Then, there seemed to be some suction cups in his bones. The divine energy Luli mobilized surged into his bones like a river. Hiss. Luli mobilized a lot of divine energy, but in the time for a few breaths, the divine energy was absorbed. Luli had to keep on mobilizing divine energy. His bones were like a whirlpool at the bottom of the sea. All the divine energy he mobilized was sucked in. Buzzing, Luli took out pellets from his ring and swallowed 5 at once. Those pellets were meant to assist in the cultivation of divine energy. As soon as the pellet entered his body, a surge of strong efficacy spread out. Luli used his cultivation method. Spiritual energy in heaven and earth surged into his body like tidewater. His meridians were filled with divine energy that was converted into it. However, as soon as Luli used the bone refinement skill, the divine energy was absorbed by his bones. His bones were like a bottomless pit. No matter how much divine energy Luli cultivated or mobilized, the divine energy would be sucked in instantly. Go on. Luli mobilized divine energy from the pellets. He only needed to keep some of it. He planned to use up the rest. He could just spend more time on cultivation in the future. Divine energy surged out from the pellets and then was absorbed by his bones. After cultivating for 3 days, Luli could clearly feel that his bones had changed. They had become stronger, and they were crystal clear like pieces of artifact. Luli remembered the hand bone of a powerful warrior that the young master picked up in the first 2 levels. Although that expert had inscribed divine runes on his hand bones, it should have the same effect as his bone refining technique, although it was a different approach. The hand bone was also sparkling and translucent, emitting a dazzling divine light like a secret treasure. Continue. Luli was excited that the bone refinement skill was working. He mobilized more divine energy. 13 days after young Master Chin and the others left, Luli stopped. Over half of the divine energy in his pellet had been consumed. He had to keep the rest for himself. For more than 10 days, there was no movement at the top of the mountain. From time to time, he would use the trace of the great Tao to sense it, but he didn't find anyone hiding at the top of the mountain. He still did not act. Instead, he waited for Blood Fairy to refine the small seal. Blood Fairy had said that Xiao Ying would need a month. More than 10 days had passed, so it should be soon. Luli took out bottles of pellets and began to cultivate divine energy. He had over 1,000 pellets, all of which he gained from killing people over the years. They were all high-level pellets of the second plane. Luli would take the pellets, cultivate divine energy, and then use the ancient skill to refine his bones. The cycle repeated. Every time, Luli would take 3 pellets. He would only take more when the effect of the pellets was gone. Time flew by. Soon, a month had passed. Luli had consumed over 600 pellets. He did not even know how much divine energy he had cultivated. Anyway, it was all absorbed by his bones. His bones were changing. There was a hint of yellow glow in them. Luli was beginning to evolve to the 2nd level. That being said, Luli was frustrated that his bones had only progressed a little after absorbing so much divine energy and using so many pellets. It seemed that to reach the 2nd level, he would need at least tens of thousands of bottles of pellets. This was the 2nd level. How many would he need to reach the 3rd level? How many pellets would he need to reach the 4th level? Luli could not imagine. Maybe, at the end, using regular divine energy would be pointless. In the end, he would have to resort to elixirs. Crackle, crackle, Luli stopped cultivating. He stood up and stretched his bones. Every movement made his bones creak. He waved his hand. He felt his hands were filled with strength. He felt he could kill a 3-star beast of primordial chaos with one punch. Whoosh! His body floated up, and he began to run in circles around the stone mountain. As he ran, he clearly felt different. All the bones in his body were filled with great power, and his speed increased by another 20%. He believed that by using the unfettered steps, his speed would be similar to a warrior at the peak of the 3rd tribulation. This is good. Luli was satisfied after running around for a while. Though he had consumed most of his divine energy and so many pellets, his physical strength had improved by 20%, which made him happy. The price was worth it. This ancient secret technique was extremely powerful, and it was extremely useful for refining one's body. It was a pity that the skill was incomplete. It lacked the skills of skin and blood refinement. Otherwise, if he could learn all of them, it would be much easier for him to build a supreme body. Let's go up. Luli turned around and dashed upward. This time, it was easier for him to reach the 1,000 feet mark. He kept on going. At the 2,000 feet mark, he could no longer move. He stood there and used the trace of Tao to sense the situation up there. He did not sense any signs of life. The people up there must have been teleported away. Whoosh! Luli rushed down and sat down to consume the pellets while Blood Fairy took control of the seal. After 6 days, Blood Fairy finally said, "Master, I have solved the runes on the seal of the King of Dust. I will give you the way to control the runes. You can control the seal of the King of Dust." "Why is it called the seal of the King of Dust?" Luli was surprised. Blood Fairy explained, "This is the information left in the seal. It was made by a man called the King of Dust. It is a high-quality artifact with divine patterns." "Oh, I see." Luli was relieved. Blood Fairy reached out her tentacle and sent some information to Luli's soul. Luli digested the information and took out the seal of the King of Dust. He poured divine energy into the seal of the King of Dust. Based on the information from Blood Fairy, Luli activated some runes, and then the entire seal of the King of Dust. In the end, he could control the seal. Buzzing. After a moment, the seal of the King of Dust glowed. The runes on the seal glowed, and some runes appeared. Gradually, Luli established a spiritual connection with the seal of the King of Dust. Go! Luli flew the seal of the King of Dust up. Surges of primitive, vast, and horrifying energy came out from the seal of the King of Dust. The seal flew around in the air as if it was his own arm. After a while, Luli grabbed the seal of the King of Dust in his hand. Chapter 1979. After cultivating divine energy for half a day, Luli took action. He took out the map given by young Master Qin and took a look. Then, he went to where young Master Qin went. He used the seal of the Dust King and pushed the dark haze away. He was enveloped by the glow of the seal of the Dust King. He did not dare to move too fast. He walked down step by step. He closed his eyes and tried to sense with the trace of the great path. He could not use divine energy here. Instead of seeing with his eyes, he might as well use the trace of the great path. Step by step, he was swallowed up by the dark haze. He walked down the mountain and did not find any danger. After the time for several incense sticks to burn, Luli had been following the route given by young Master Qin. He found some divine patterns around, and some were blasted open. It must have been done when young Master Qin came down for the first time. A tunnel. The map given by young Master Qin was authentic. Luli followed the route and found a tunnel easily. It was a cave with flowing divine patterns. It must be a teleportation to the top of the mountain. Of course, Luli did not go in immediately. He asked Blood Fairy to check. Blood Fairy reached into the divine pattern at the entrance and said after a while, "Master, it is safe. This must be a teleportation pattern." Luli did not hesitate. He walked in with the seal of the Dust King. As soon as he went in, he saw a white glare. He was at the peak. The peak was spacious. There was no one there except for the teleportation altar. Young Master Fu and the others had all left. There was no one else here. Luli could put his mind at ease. He wandered around the peak. He did not leave right away. He was ready to consume that drop of blood. Previously, at the foot of the mountain, he was afraid that someone might ambush him. Now that he was safe, he could consume the blood. Young Master Fu and the others could not be teleported back, right? He could only go forward. He had not found a way back yet. Buzzing, Luli took out some formation stones and began to set up at the peak. He was only building a simple trapping formation. He was afraid that he would roll around on the peak in pain and fall into the dark haze, which would be the end of him. It was easy to set up this kind of formation. In less than an hour, a dark formation appeared and enveloped Luli. If Luli didn't launch a forceful attack, he could not fly out of the formation. He rested for a moment, then took out the jade box. When the jade box appeared, the blood in his body began to boil, and his eyes became bloodshot. His mind was filled with desire as he wanted to refine this drop of blood. Luli took a deep breath and then opened the jade box. A drop of blood was beating inside. When the jade box was opened, the drop of blood flew out and was about to fly away. This drop of blood is comparable to a heavenly medicine, and it actually has spirituality. Just what kind of powerful immortal beast blood is this? Luli was taken aback. He reached out his hand and grabbed the drop of blood. He covered it up with divine energy at once, or the blood would scatter in the air. He released his divine power and began to slowly refine it. He did not dare to swallow such a powerful blood in one go. Although his physical body was strong, what if he couldn't withstand it? Hiss, hiss, strand after strand of blood entered his hand. He felt his hand was on fire. He almost wanted to throw the blood away. He endured the burning sensation and went on. Soon, the burning sensation spread to every corner of his body. He felt he had fallen into a furnace. His blood was surging and boiling. As he went on, the drop of blood in his hand became smaller and smaller. His body became hotter and hotter, almost suffocating. He clenched his teeth and held on. The pain he had endured over the years was many times worse than this. This was not enough to make him pass out. Almost there, Luli checked and then swallowed the rest of the blood. This time it was different. It was as if he had swallowed a ball of fire. The blood spread across his body. He was burning. Every inch of his muscles, bones, and blood was burning. This time, he could not stand it anymore. He fell to the ground and rolled around. Fortunately, he had set up a spear formation. Otherwise, he would have definitely rolled down the mountain. His body kept rolling on the ground, and his whole body was filled with the aura of a wild beast. He was even letting out roars, like a giant injured beast on the verge of death. He didn't stop until he rolled for more than 2 hours. In the end, he passed out. The blood of the immortal beast was too strong. Strong as his physical body was, he could not stand it. Luli passed out for a day and a night. He had a long dream. He dreamed that he was being hunted down. He was stabbed on his back, and there were 2 bloody holes. He also dreamt that someone injected poison into the bloody hole on his back. Something grew out of his back, and he became a monster. He woke up after a day and a night. The first thing he felt was thirst. His mouth was dry, and his tongue cracked. He felt all the water in his body had evaporated. He crawled up and wanted to get some water to drink. However, as soon as he moved, he realized something was wrong. He felt something was wrong on his back. There really was something growing out of his back. Wings. Luli turned around in fear and looked at his back. His eyes were filled with terror. There were 2 silver wings on his back. The wings were more than 3 feet long. The feathers on the wings looked like they were made of mercury, glistening and full of a metallic texture. These wings were not placed on his back, but were completely connected to his back. The scene in his dream was not an illusion. He really had grown a pair of wings. Luli's first feeling was not joy, but fear. Wings meant that he had become a monster, not a normal human being. A birdman? He would be regarded as a monster, an alien race. What would his family and friends think of him when he returned to the divinity? Soon he calmed himself down. There was more information in his mind. He had a vague idea. This should be a bloodline skill, a brand new one. He sorted through the new information in his mind at once. After a while, he was relieved. He was not mutated. He had a new bloodline skill, Dragon Wings. Since it was a bloodline skill, it could be released and put away. After he carefully comprehended all the information in his mind, his heart stirred, and he shouted in a deep voice, "Dragon Wings, withdraw." The silver wings on his back glowed and then disappeared from his back. The skin on his back was smooth without any bulges. He had become a normal human being. "Dragon Wings out," Luli shouted again. His back glowed and 2 wings appeared. He flapped the wings and flew over like a bolt of lightning. He smashed into the trap formation he had built. So fast, Luli was overjoyed. When the dragon wings flapped, he felt the space was rippling. His speed must have been increased. It was a pity that the peak was too small for him to fly around. He had to put away the dragon wings and try again when there was a chance. My chi and blood are strong. I feel my body has been strengthened. The blood of the immortal beast is so strong. Wait, why is my blood changing color? Luli was taken aback. He noticed that his blood had turned dark red with a hint of gold, which was quite strange. He frowned. Why would his blood change color? Was it because of the immortal beast's blood? He thought for a while and mobilized divine energy. As the divine energy flowed, he heard some strange sounds coming from his blood, like waves pounding on the table or the roaring of the ocean. He used psychic power to check. His blood was flowing faster. Surges of chi and blood came from his body, filling him with strength. The blood of the immortal beast is extraordinary. Luli was delighted again. Consuming the blood of the immortal beast had not only given him a bloodline skill, but also other transformations. He checked for an hour. Apart from the changes in his blood and the strengthening of his body, nothing else changed. It's about time. Time to go out. Chapter 1980. Luli dashed out from the barren land. As soon as he came out, he looked around and put his guard up. He was relieved to make sure there was nobody around. The land seemed to be ancient. Everything was filled with vicissitudes. There were no plants and no signs of life. It was like a dead land. Luli wandered around the area and found no one. He began to walk around in circles. After 6 hours, he still didn't find anyone. Dragon wings out. This place was spacious. Luli decided to try the effect of dragon wings to see if he could be sped up. His back glowed, and then 2 huge silver wings appeared. They flapped, and the space behind him began to tremble. Luli dashed out like a sharp sword. In an instant, Luli realized he was more than 300 miles away. He was shocked. Just now, he didn't use the happy steps. He just flapped his wings, and he was already more than 300 miles away in an instant. Whoosh, he turned around, and this time, he flapped his wings. The space behind him trembled, and he dashed away in a blur. His body stopped in midair, and his breathing became rapid. These dragon wings were too powerful. He clearly felt the space fluctuate violently just now. When the dragon wings flapped, they actually affected the laws of space, allowing their speed to reach such a terrifying level. If Luli thought of something, the happy steps could allow him to cross 2,000 or 3,000 miles in an instant. If the happy steps and the dragon wings could be used together, then his speed would be appalling. Let me try. Luli used the happy steps first. When he was about to dash out, he flapped his wings. The space around him began to tremble. In the next second, he was already 2,000 or 3,000 miles away. He stopped and frowned. He didn't cooperate well, and he had already dashed out. It was too late for him to flap his wings. He turned around and tried again. This time it was perfect. He used the happy steps and the dragon wings almost at the same time. He vanished into the distance in a blur. 3,000 miles. Luli did the calculation and gasped. Not even warriors at the peak of the third tribulation could catch up with him. That was unless the warrior was extremely fast and had learned the speed fundamental principle. Continue. Luli stepped forward, and the wings on his back were synchronized. He turned into a stream of light and dashed into the distance. He kept trying to make the light steps and the dragon wings work together perfectly. This way, his speed could be stacked. Whoosh! A stream of light flew around in the wilderness, rushing into the distance, shooting into the sky, bursting into the ground, and then turning around in midair. Luli was having a great time. He was like a little warrior who had just learned how to fly, flying around in the wilderness. Luli's speed was becoming more and more stable, and his movements were becoming more and more graceful. He kept changing his route and became more and more agile. If there were people nearby, they would have been frightened by Luli's speed. Fast light movie. These 4 words were enough to describe Luli's current speed. He was as fast as light and as fast as lightning. 2 hours, 10 hours, 16 hours. Luli flew around for 16 hours before he stopped. He landed on a small hill. He was filled with excitement. He gulped down some water to calm himself down. He retracted his dragon wings, but his eyes were still filled with passion. With such a fast speed, there was nowhere in the second heaven that he couldn't go. Even if all the powerful warriors of the Hall of Black Flame came to hunt him down, so what? Who would catch up to his speed? Who could kill him? Let's go. Luli was filled with confidence and satisfaction. Finally, he was not afraid of the Hall of Black Flame anymore. Finally, he could walk around the second heaven at will. He could find a way to improve his abilities and defeat the Hall of Black Flame completely. After that, he could return to the divinity. Luli was cheered up by this thought. He saw a glimmer of hope, a way to go home. As long as he could defeat the Hall of Black Flame, nobody in the second heaven could dictate his life and death or threaten his family. Whoosh! Luli picked a random direction and moved forward quickly. He didn't use his dragon wings, but his light steps were fast enough. In just an hour, he had covered hundreds of millions of miles. Finally, he found a hall. The hall was floating in midair like a huge mountain, which was eye-catching. He flew up and landed on the plaza in front of the hall. Psychic power could be used here. Luli didn't go closer. He just scanned the place with his psychic power. There's a teleportation altar. He found a teleportation altar in the plaza and the entrances to 3 halls. But the doors were closed. He didn't know if he could go in. Let me check the halls first. Luli walked to the door of a hall and walked around it. Then he stood outside the door and began to push it. The door didn't budge. Luli punched at the door after some thoughts. He didn't use too much strength. Buzzing, the door glowed. The patterns on the door glowed. A surge of energy spread out. Even Luli was forced to step back. I don't think I can crack the door with brute force. Luli took a look. The patterns on the door were complicated and densely packed. It was impossible to crack it open with brute force. After a moment's thought, he sent Blood Fairy out to investigate while he went to the other 2 halls to investigate. An hour later, he came back. The other 2 halls were similar to this one. The patterns on the door were so strong that he could not crack it open with brute force. Luli even used the Dust King seal to blast the door open. As a result, he was bounced back for hundreds of feet. His blood was boiling. Blood Fairy had been checking. After the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, she came back. She went into the mountain and said, "Master, I am sorry. The patterns here are too strong. Given my abilities, I cannot crack it open. I don't think I can go in." Luli was disappointed. There must be treasures in the 3 halls. He wondered if young Master Qin and the others had gone in. After a moment of silence, Luli decided to leave. Some opportunities could not be forced. If he could not go in, he could not go in even if he spent 100 years here. Luli was not that stubborn. He had gained many good things here, and he was satisfied. He put on a solemn face as he stared at the teleportation altar. It was possible that the altar could teleport him to the outside. In other words, as soon as he went out, he might run into powerful enemies. But he did not know if the altar was a fixed teleportation. If it was, there was a 90% chance that he would be ambushed and killed. Let's go. This was a blessing, not a curse. Luli's speed had increased, which boosted his confidence. Dragon wings appeared on his back, and he stepped into the teleportation altar with determination. Buzzing, there was a flash of white light. This time, Luli felt he had been teleported for a while. He was more certain that he had been teleported out. What? Soon, Luli felt he was in the sea. He looked around at once and realized he was at the bottom of the sea. Someone is here. He used psychic power to check. He saw several dark figures dashing toward him almost at the same time. All of them had weapons in their hands and were intimidating. They were all third tribulation heaven gods. Chapter 1981. 5 of them were coming, all at the third tribulation realm. 2 of them were powerful, and 1 of them was familiar to Luli. It was Yin Hong. Now that Yin Hong was here, Luli didn't have to guess who the 5 were. They were most likely from the Hall of Black Flames. Maybe 1 or 2 of them were from other forces. The 5 dashed toward Luli at a horrifying speed. They would reach him the next second. All 5 of them released powerful attacks. The space in front of them was torn apart. The seawater was evaporated and a vacuum appeared. The horrifying killing intent spread out, suffocating Luli. 5 streaks of energy locked onto Luli, immobilizing him at this moment. However, Luli's instinct made him react. With a roar, he took a step forward. At the same time, the wings on his back suddenly flapped. His body immediately turned into a blur of light, and he flew into the distance. Swish, 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 the 5 were surprised. Then they began to attack. 5 streaks of energy came. 3 of them hit Luli, and the other 2 missed. Bang, bang, bang. From Luli came 3 muffled sounds. But he didn't stop. The next second, he appeared 3,000 miles away. His eyes were filled with pain. His legs were cut by a ray of sword light. His left chest was hit by a dark gust of wind, and his head was hit as well. The injuries on his head and legs were still manageable, but there was a bloody hole on his left chest. This finger wind was extremely terrifying. It had pierced through his flesh, and the lobes of his lungs inside had all exploded. At this moment, it was extremely painful to breathe. Stop him, kill him. Don't let him get away. Do it. From behind Li came many angry shouts. From all sides came many dark figures. They were all second tribulation warriors. There was no end to them. Nobody could tell how many there were. Has the Hall of Black Flames sent out all of its forces? A glint of coldness rose in Li's eyes. He took out the 7-star saber and hacked at it. At the same time, he flapped his wings and dashed forward. In front of him were all warriors. Li had nowhere to run. He had to kill his way out. If he couldn't, he would die for sure. Hiss, the murderous ghost chop was released, and it spun a few times in midair before it suddenly slashed forward. A few of the cultivators at the front were instantly killed, turning into minced meat. There were also a few cultivators who were sent flying, sending the cultivators behind them flying. Xiao! Li rushed over like crazy. He released another ghastly cut and put away his 7-star saber. He swung his fists and moved forward quickly, smashing away several people. Boom, boom, boom. Countless attacks landed on Li from all directions, but they couldn't inflict much harm on him. Li was unstoppable. He smashed one warrior after another into a mist of blood and smashed them away. This saber light. In the distance, a group of people were watching. It was young Master Qin, Lady Qiong, and Lady Mu. Li's ghost cut was so strange that they were surprised. They felt they had seen it before. Hell, killing god! Young Master Qin recalled and exclaimed, "Not long ago, a Hell's killing god appeared on the Raging Flames Island. His attack pattern was exactly the same as killing god Lu's. Furthermore, they were both First Tribulation heaven gods, and were both wearing masks. It seems like they are the same person. So strong." Lady Qiong exclaimed, 5 Third Tribulation heaven gods, and 2 of them were at the later stage of the Third Tribulation. Yen Hong is a famous warrior at the Second Tribulation heaven. Yet, none of them could kill Li. Look, he is broken out. So fast, Lady Mu exclaimed, he is so fast. He must be faster than warriors at the peak of the Third Tribulation. Wait, how come he has wings? Is he of a special race and not a pure-blooded human? Well, he has wings. Lady Qiong exclaimed as well. She was disappointed. If Li was of a special race, then he was not a pure-blooded human. After all, they were not of the same race. Those who were not of the same race must have different intentions. I don't think he is of a special race. Young Master Qin shook his head and said, I've been in close contact with him. The human energy he has is pure. I think this is some kind of ancient skill. I don't understand. This Li has too many secrets. He has escaped. Nobody can catch up with him, right? Lady Mu exclaimed again. Everyone saw Li killing his way out of the encirclement like a beast of war. His cyan robe was stained with blood, and even his wings were stained with blood. Young Master Qin's pupils contracted. He said to Li, Brother Lu, be careful. Li, who had just broken out of the encirclement, sensed danger as well. He looked back at once and saw 13 rays of light coming at him. Those were arrows. All of them had a length of more than 3 miles. They were horrifying. Clearly, they were shot by a powerful artifact. The speed of the arrows was so fast that Li had no time to dodge. He made up his mind, swung his fists, and smashed at the arrows. Boom, 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 boom. He punched 4 times, shattering the 4 rays of light. There was blood on his fists, and he was knocked back as well. The power of this divine arrow was too strong. His fist could not withstand it and was injured. Li's physical body had been improved 3 times. The first time was with the Kylan sungrass. The second time was with the bone refinement skill, and the third time was with the blood of immortal beasts. His physical body was strong enough to survive Uncle Shan's attack. Now, he was wounded by the arrows. It was not hard to imagine how powerful the arrows were. Pseudo-holy weapon, bow of crashing. Young Master Qin spat out several names and looked at Lu Li with admiration. Lady Qiong and Lady Mu shouted in surprise. What is his body made of? How can it stand the attack of pseudo-holy weapons? Boom, 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 the arrows kept coming. Even though Lu Li's fists were injured, he had to press on, for more arrows were shattered. Lu Li was knocked back for more than 30 miles. His fists were badly mutilated as well. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 5 people flew over from a distance. Yin Hong and the others were here. Lu Li's eyes flickered. He knew he could not waste any more time. Once he was surrounded by the 5, he would be killed mercilessly. Let's go. There were still 5 more arrows. Lu Li didn't care about them anymore. He turned around and rushed to the distance. He took a step forward, flapped his wings, and dashed away in blur. However, as soon as he flapped his wings, the 5 arrows behind him all landed on his back. The wings on his back were torn apart, and his back was covered in blood. That being said, Lu Li was even faster. He vanished into the distance. In the blink of an eye, not even his shadow could be seen. Lu, God of hell, you cannot run away. Yin Hong, will kill you no matter where you are. Yin Hong bellowed in rage and chased after Lu Li. The others followed him. Many other warriors also chased after Lu Li. It really is an ancient skill. It is the wings. Young Master Qin nodded to himself. He was relieved. If Lu Li was of a special race, he would have to reconsider making friends with Lu Li. Now that it was proven that Lu Li was a pure-blooded human, young Master Qin had nothing to worry about. He is so badly injured. Can he run away? Lady Qiong murmured with a frown. They knew very well that it was not only the Hall of Black Flame that was chasing after Lu Li. There were also people from young Master Fu's family. With the 2 forces working together, how far could Lu Li go even if he could run away for now? We can only pray that he is blessed. There is nothing we can do. Chapter 1982. In the sea, a man was flying fast. He was so fast that he could cover thousands of miles in every breath. When he was flying, the space would twist, which was quite strange. He was bleeding in many places, especially his fists, chest, and back. His chest was pierced by a strange gust of wind. There was some strange energy in the gust of wind that prevented the wound from healing and kept bleeding. His wings were destroyed, and his back was covered in blood. Lu Li felt his origin was hurt as well. That being said, the dragon wings was just a bloodline skill. Theoretically speaking, he should be able to use it again when he recovered. Lu Li moved on quickly using the roaming steps and left all his pursuers behind. Even without the dragon wings, he was as fast as a warrior at the peak of the 3rd tribulation with the roaming steps and his strong body. Yin Hong and the others were at the later stage of the 3rd tribulation. How could they catch up with him? Lu Li had been flying for an hour. He believed that the people behind him had been left far behind by now. That being said, he also knew that Yin Hong and the others would not let him go. His blood and the fact that he had encountered some scouts would expose his whereabouts. He took 2 healing pellets and kept on moving forward while he healed himself. He must find a way to sneak away after he stopped bleeding. Otherwise, his enemies would follow the trail of blood and come after him. Another hour later, Lu Li's wounds had healed. He began to use the mark of the Great Tao to sense the surroundings, avoid scouts, and cover his tracks. He was not sure if his enemies had treasures that could track him. He had to try his best to run away. After all, his enemies could not catch up with him. Even if they did open a space portal, he could run away at any time. Lu Li remembered the dangerous situation. A glint of coldness rose in his eyes. He almost died there. It seemed that when he had time, he would pay a visit to the Hall of Black Flames' base of operations and destroy some of them to make them suffer. Using the mark of the Great Tao, Lu Li's senses were much sharper. He could sense all the scouts nearby. If he went around in advance, the scouts wouldn't notice him. He flew on for 2 days and 3 nights. Lu Li didn't even know how far he had gone. Most of his injuries were healed, and he stopped on an uninhabited island. Dragon wings, a pier, Luli rested for a while and then released his bloodline skill. The robe on his back exploded and 2 silver wings emerged. Luli was overjoyed. As he had expected, the dragon wings were just a kind of divine art. Even if it was destroyed, it could be used repeatedly. However, if it was destroyed, the origin of his body would be slightly damaged. He retracted his dragon wings and sat cross-legged on the ground to rest. After resting for more than 2 hours to recover some of his essence, chi, and spirit, he set off again. This time, he planned to enter a large island nearby and teleport away to the Black Flame Hall's territory. He wanted blood for blood, a tooth for a tooth. He wanted to make Black Flame Hall suffer for a while. At the same time, he wanted to test whether the Black Flame Hall could use the secret treasure to track him. If he could track it, then he would have to be more careful. He flew close to the surface of the sea. The bronze mask turned into a human skin mask, and he turned into an ordinary young man. He found a large island nearby and carefully entered it. After entering the island, he did not discover any ambushes. Only then did he boldly walk towards the city inside the island. Outside the city, he also checked for a while to make sure that there were no powerful warriors lying in ambush before he strode in. In the city, he was not in a hurry to teleport away. Instead, he found a place to get some information. He found out a lot of information at once. When the Palace of Immortals came out, all the young masters and young ladies of the Stormy Sea area came, and they all went in. But many died. Even the godson of the Black Flame Hall died in there, and he was murdered. This enraged the Black Flame Hall. The Fu family sent out many warriors to hunt down a man called the Hell Killer. The Fu family mobilized more than a dozen middle-sized forces nearby and sent out more than 10,000 warriors, including 5 patriarchs of the Third Tribulation. Yet the Hell Killer escaped. The entire Stormy Sea area was talking about this. This kind of information was easy to find out. The entire Stormy Sea area was very lively. It was easy to find out. When Luli heard the news, he was even more furious. He should have killed young Master Fu. The Fu family had gotten involved. Luli thought for a while. He didn't leave right away. Instead, he waited. At the same time, he spent a lot of money to hire dozens of people to go to other cities and nearby islands to gather information. He wanted to verify one thing. He wanted to see if Yin Hong and the others could track him down. If they could, then he would have to be careful. He could be killed by Yin Hong and the others. He rested in the tavern and spent some divine sources to buy some books. He wanted to find out what kind of herb he got so that he could consume it. It was pointless to keep the herb with him. If he was killed, he would be helping others. He might as well consume it. It was a pity that the herb he picked was precious. He bought several books, but he only recognized 5 of them. The rest were not recorded in books. 2 days had passed. There was no news from the dozens of people he hired. Yin Hong and the others didn't come to him. Luli waited and sent someone to buy books on herbs. On the 3rd night, Luli was cultivating in the castle when the inhibition formation of the castle suddenly lit up. He used psychic power to check and found someone surprising. Young Master Qin. His bronze mask had changed to a human skin mask. Not many people knew about this human skin mask. How did young Master Qin find him so easily? Brother Lu, don't worry. We are friends, not enemies. Young Master Qin cupped his fists and said with a smile, I am here because I want to help you. Luli hesitated for a moment. He used a trace of Tao to sense outside. When he didn't find any powerful warriors, he opened the inhibition formation and said in a deep voice, Young Master Qin, please come in. Young Master Qin strode in. Luli closed the inhibition formation and changed his mask to the bronze one. He was on guard. He stared at young Master Qin and asked, Young Master Qin, how did you find me? It is easy to find you. Young Master Qin smiled and said, As a matter of fact, the Black Flame Hall and the Fu family have located you. They just haven't come after you yet. I think they are making arrangements. If you don't leave now, they will be here in a day or 2 at most. They can locate me. Luli's mind was weighed down. Super families really had their own ways. Luli cupped his fists and said, Young Master Qin, thank you for reminding me. Aren't you afraid that the Black Flame Hall and the Fu family will know that you are helping me. You will implicate the Qin family. Ha ha ha. Chapter 1983. Luli had already suspected that the Black Flame Hall could locate him. When Uncle Li and Yin Hong's son came down to the mortal world, they brought a piece of artifact that could track him down. If the son of Yin Hong had a piece of artifact, then the Black Flame Hall must have one. Every big force had such an artifact. As long as they could locate each other's qi and energy once, they could track him down with the artifact. Young Master Qin could find Lu Li so easily because he had been in contact with Lu Li and could locate him. Buzzing, young Master Qin took out a piece of turtle shell. The turtle shell had ancient patterns and some strange qi and energy. One look and Lu Li could tell that it was a miraculous artifact. This is the shell of an ancient Xian turtle. Powerful warriors of my family put some runes on it that can isolate their qi and energy. As long as you carry this turtle shell with you, the Black Flame Hall and the Fu family cannot track your qi and energy. Naturally, they will not be able to find you. Young Master Qin explained. Then he looked at Lu Li with sincerity and said, "Of course, this belongs to our family. That is why we can track you down with this. But please believe me, as long as I am alive, the Qin family will not be your enemy." Lu Li took over the turtle shell, but didn't put it away. Instead, he asked a more direct question, why? He didn't ask for more details. He believed that young Master Qin could understand. There was no unconditional love or unconditional hatred in the world. Louis didn't have much contact with young Master Qin. Both times were deals. Young Master Qin wouldn't be so kind-hearted as to help him at the risk of offending the Black Flame Hall and the Fu family. If young Master Qin couldn't give a reasonable explanation, Luli wouldn't take the turtle shell. Because we are enemies with the Fu family, young Master Qin didn't hide anything. He explained, to be exact, I am enemies with the Fu family. My aunt was married to the third son of the family patriarch of the Fu family, but she died 3 years after the marriage. The Fu family said it was an accident, but I heard my aunt was tortured to death by that bastard of the Fu family. That man is a perverted demon. When young Master Qin said this, his eyes turned red. He was filled with killing intent. He took a deep breath, bowed with hands folded in front, and said, because of my identity, I cannot do anything to the Fu family. My current combat strength is also not enough. That's why I want you to help me take revenge. Try your best to kill the Fu family's men. All right, this was a reasonable explanation. Luli also believed that young Master Qin was not putting on a show. A man who would risk everything to pursue a girl must be a man of love. Luli put away the turtle shell and solemnly said, young Master Qin, don't worry. I will turn the entire storm area upside down. Ha! Young Master Qin laughed loudly and nodded. I think highly of you. With such speed, aside from those old fellows in the entire Stormy Sea region, most people would not be able to catch up to you. However, you have to be careful. The Black Flame Hall and the Fu clan have 2 old fellows with terrifying strength. If they make a move, you have to avoid them. I can't use too much of my family's power to help you. Otherwise, it'll be very troublesome if I'm discovered. So, you can only rely on yourself. Yes, yes. Luli smiled and asked, Brother Qin, do you have any books on herbs? I have them, but I don't know much about their properties. I don't dare to use them recklessly. Yes. Young Master Qin took out a black book, handed it over, and said, there are records of more than 1,000 kinds of precious herbs and how to use them. All the herbs you have are recorded in here. Thank you, Brother Qin. Luli was overjoyed. He didn't have to spend time to identify the herbs. Okay. Offering Qin Zhan cupped his fists and said, I will leave now. Brother Lu, you should leave as soon as possible. I am looking forward to the moment when you can demonstrate your power. My real name is Luli. Luli took off his mask and said, Brother Qin, I will make friends with you. Ha ha ha, Qin Zhan laughed and left. Luli used the trace of Dao to sense around. Making sure that there were no powerful warriors nearby, he went out at once and left by teleportation formation. He believed Qin Zhan's words to some extent. Otherwise, he wouldn't have told Qin Zhan his real name and face. Still, he was careful. After teleporting for dozens of times, he left the island and dived into the sea. He built 3 one-way teleportation formations in the cave at the bottom of the sea. At the same time, he built many small inhibition formations nearby. The inhibition formations were well hidden. Luli wouldn't even know if he touched them. They were just warning inhibition formations. He spent an entire day building more than 1,000 inhibition formations in an area with a radius of more than 3,000 miles before he went into the cave and sat with his legs crossed. He wanted to see if the Fu family and the Hall of Black Flame could still track him after he had the turtle shell. He took out the book young Master Qin gave him and began to read. The information about the herbs was recorded in detail. Luli went through them one by one. It took him 4 hours to identify the properties of all the herbs he had. He was lucky, for of the more than a dozen herbs were for body refinement, the same level as the Kylan sungrass. They were not as good as the blood of immortal beasts, but they were still top-level herbs. The rest of the herbs had their own special functions. Luli didn't want to use them up. He planned to auction them off and trade them for pellets to cultivate divine energy and other herbs to strengthen the body. Luli didn't consume the herbs for fear that his enemies would come after him. He just sat on the ground to cultivate divine energy and nourish his soul. Time flew by. Soon, 5 days had passed. Nothing happened near Luli. He was relieved. The turtle shell must be working. Or maybe the enemies had located him and they were just making arrangements. Luli went out to have a look. He walked around in an area with a radius of more than 3,000 miles. Seeing nothing out of the ordinary, he came back to cultivate. Luli cultivated in peace for another 10 days. If the Fu family and the Hall of Black Flame could track him down in half a month, they would have killed their way here. It seemed that the turtle shell did have the function of hiding qi and energy. Let's go to a nearby city. Luli came out from the bottom of the sea. He found a middle-sized island and snuck into the city to gather some information. 2 hours later, Luli sat in a tea house. He had gotten the information he wanted. He could put his mind at ease. The Fu family and the Hall of Black Flame couldn't find him. The two forces made an announcement at the same time to put a bounty on Luli's head. They drew pictures of Luli wearing the bronze mask and the ghost mask. If someone could provide information, they would be rewarded with 1,000,000 divine origin gold. If they could kill the hell-killing god, they would receive 100,000,000 divine origin gold from the two great forces. The entire Sea of Storm was in an uproar. Many warriors were searching for the hellish killer. If they could find Luli and provide information, they would be rewarded with 1,000,000 divine origin gold. The fact that the two forces had put out a bounty meant that they couldn't track him down. Young Master Qin didn't lie to him. It is time to go to the Fu family's territory. Luli took out the map and looked at an archipelago to the northwest of the Sea of Storm. There were hundreds of small islands, 1 heavenly island and 34 big islands, all of which belonged to the Fu family. Chapter 1984. Luli disappeared as soon as he got out of the encirclement. At first, Yin Hong and the others could still track him down because he was in a city. But after a while, Luli's aura disappeared completely. Yin Hong and the others knew very well that Luli must have gotten some kind of treasure to hide his aura. This secret treasure might have been bought, but it was even more likely that it was a gift from a great family. There were many treasures for tracking, but few for hiding aura. This kind of treasure could not be bought in regular chambers of commerce. Usually, only big families would have it. Luli didn't have such a treasure before. How could he suddenly get one? It was hard not to be suspicious. The Black Flame Hall and the Fu family had some enemies. Naturally, these enemies would be happy to see the Fu family make a fool of themselves. It was understandable that the Fu family would give Luli a treasure to hide his aura. It had been a month since Luli escaped. The two forces had offered a huge reward. Everyone in the Storm Sea area was on the move. However, Luli was nowhere to be found. He was like a drop of water flowing into the ocean. It was too difficult to find him. Lu Li's bronze mask was a treasure. Nobody could see his face unless they were at the peak of the three universes or warriors with strong spirit energy. What was more, the reward offered by the two forces was only for Lu Li's bronze mask and the ghost mask. There was no portrait of Lu Li. The two forces spent a fortune to hire a family that was good at tracking. This family was a hermit family of the Storm Sea area, the Bu family. The top warriors of the Bu family were sent out to track Lu Li based on all kinds of clues. The two forces were secretly preparing to kill Lu Li when the Bu family found him. Lu Li had arrived at the northwest of the Storm Sea area. He had teleported all the way here. He was now on an island in the territory of the Fu family. There was one heavenly island, more than a dozen big islands, and hundreds of small islands in this area. On the surface, not all of these territories belonged to the Fu family. Secretly, they were controlled by the Fu family. The Fu family was a hermit family. On the surface, they only occupied one heavenly island. In fact, they had been occupying this area for 100,000 years. Such a family had profound resources. The powerful warriors of the family were not even on the celestial god list. Nobody knew how many powerful warriors the family had and how profound their resources were. Lu Li didn't go to the heavenly island rashly. He didn't even dare to go to the big island. Going to the heavenly island was tantamount to courting death. Qin Zhan once said that there were two old men in the Fu family with horrifying combat abilities. If Lu Li encountered them, he would definitely die. This island was called Cloud Floating Island. The entire island was covered in white fog, and it looked like it was floating in the clouds. There was only one city on the island. Lu Li was sitting in a tea house in the city. Lu Li learned the situation of the city after some casual inquiries. Floating Cloud Island was controlled by a branch of the Fu family. The island owner was called Han Guangyu. It was said that he married a young lady of the Fu family and became the owner of the island. There were not many people in the city. This island did not have many resources. The people living in the city were not strong. There were not many second tribulation heavenly gods. Let's go. The young city lord has come out. From the other side of the street came some muffled voices. Then, there were fewer people on the street. Many people had gone into the shops and tea houses. Lu Li was surprised. He looked over to the other side of the street. From the end of the street came two ferocious chi and energy. A chariot was rushing over. In front of the chariot were two beasts the size of lions. Their bodies were golden and their heads looked like dragons. They were ferocious and their eyes were blood red. There were three people on the chariot. One of them was a young master with two beauties in his arms. Behind the chariot were 8 warriors, all of them second tribulation heavenly gods. They were looking around with arrogance. The chariot stopped in a shop. 4 of the 8 went in. Soon, an old man was brought out and knelt on the ground. The young master looked down at the old man and said coldly, "Old Zhang, have you made up your mind?" "Young Master Han." The old man looked at young Master Han in fear. He kowtowed and said, "My granddaughter is engaged. We cannot do this. Young Master Han, please have mercy and spare us. I will kowtow to you." One of the second tribulation heavenly guards took out a weapon, put on old Zhang's neck, and said angrily, "Old Zhang, do you want to die? Last time, you said that your granddaughter was engaged and she was going to marry the young master of the Windfire Island. We asked around, but there was no such thing. How dare you?" Bang! The guard swung the relic weapon in his hand. Old Zhang's head was bleeding. He fell to the ground and kept screaming. Young Master Han and the guards didn't show any emotion. Instead, they grinned coldly. "Grandpa, Grandpa!" A cry of surprise rang out. Following that, a beautiful young girl rushed out of the shop. This girl was very young, probably only 13 or 14 years old. She wasn't a martial artist, but her figure was beautiful and delicate. She had the temperament of a girl next door, very alluring. She rushed over and knelt next to old Zhang. She burst into tears when she saw old Zhang's head was bleeding. She glared at young Master Han and said, "Han Xiaoyu, give it up. I will not be your concubine, even if I have to die. Evil people like you will be punished by heaven and struck by lightning." Ha ha ha. Young Master Han suddenly stood up and let out a long laugh. I'm standing here today. When do you think the heavens will send down divine lightning to strike me? Haven't you heard that good people don't live long, while evil people live for 1,000 years? In this world, good people die faster than anyone else. Only evil people can live longer. You shameless. The girl was shaking with anger. Her eyes were filled with despair. They were only commoners. How could they fight against a powerful cultivator? Not to mention the son of the floating cloud island lord. I'll give you 2 choices, young Master Han said coldly. First, marry me and be my concubine. You will live a life of luxury and wealth, and your grandfather will live a good life. Second, you hit the wall and die. I will cut off your grandfather's flesh piece by piece and kill him. Be Astra-starred. You be Astra-starred. Old Zhang was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. He pointed at young Master Han and said, I will not let you go even if I become a ghost. You will get what you deserve. You will die a horrible death. Ha ha ha. Young Master Han laughed wildly. He raised his hands and said in a domineering manner, Who can do anything to me at the floating cloud island? Who dares to touch me? Who dares to touch me? Whoosh! Right at this moment, a blade light flashed, and in the blink of an eye, it struck young Master Han and sent him flying. If it weren't for the Grand Spirit Heavenly Treasure Battle Armor, he would have been dead by now. Enemy attack. Protect me, young Master Han fell to the ground. He spat out some blood and shouted in terror. But in the next second, he couldn't shout anymore because a shadow flashed by and a thick and powerful leg stepped on his head, pressing him to the ground. Hiss, hiss, the 8 guards looked as if they were facing a great enemy. Their faces were filled with terror because this person's speed was so fast that they couldn't even see his shadow. Only now did they see his face clearly, but he was wearing a ghost mask. Lu Li held the 7-star saber in his hand, but his eyes were gentle. He looked at the girl and said, Evil people will get what they deserve. It's not that I won't, it's just that it's not time yet. Crack. Chapter 1985. At first, Lu Li didn't want to do anything. He wanted to see more islands and gather more information before he decided what to do. How to do it. Lu Li could not stand it anymore when he saw the girl's desperate eyes and the old man's grief and indignation. He came to the territory of the Fu family to kill people. Now that he had encountered such evil people, what else could he do? After he killed young Master Han, Lu Li dashed over and punched at a guard's chest. Bang! How could a second tribulation escort survive Lu Li's attack? With one punch, Lu Li punched through the man's chest and smashed a castle. Lu Li moved on and on and on. Every time, someone would be killed. Incoming. Young Master is dead. When Lu Li killed the 5th one, the rest finally came to their senses. One of them shouted, which shocked the entire city. From many castles, warriors flew up and dashed over. How? Old Zhang was scared out of his wits. He turned pale and trembled in fear. The girl looked at Lu Li with admiration. Even though Lu Li was wearing a ghost mask, to her, he was more respectable than an angel. Boom, 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 Lu Li dashed away and killed the other 3 escorts. There were many onlookers around. Now that they saw so many people were coming over, they fled like birds, fearing that they would be dragged into the mess. Lu Li stopped in front of Old Zhang and the girl. Looking at Old Zhang, Lu Li said, Don't be afraid. The people on this island cannot hurt me. Later, I will take you away from this island and settle you down. Now, I will put you into my interspatial artifact, and you can have a rest. Thank you, Lord. Old Zhang's lips were trembling. He was still trembling in fear. On the other hand, the girl was not scared at all. She looked at Lu Li with sparkling eyes and said, Brother, I trust you. You must kill all the bad guys. Buzzing, Lu Li did not have time to chat with them. He forced them into the wicked bead and then looked at the warriors flying over. They were all warriors of varying strength. The most powerful among them was only a second tribulation divine god. Witnessing the tragic death of young Master Han and the 8 escorts, none of them dared to come any closer. They just surrounded Lu Li. Who killed my son? A voice that sounded like a duck quacking was heard. Following that, a charming and beautiful woman flew over. Her face was distorted. She was followed by a group of warriors, all of whom were second tribulation experts. There was also a middle-aged man in a luxurious robe with a powerful aura. He was at the peak of the second tribulation. Xiaoyu, seeing that Han Xiaoyu's head had been stomped into the ground and that he was no longer breathing, the beautiful woman let out a heart-wrenching scream. She closed her eyes and was about to faint. You, the middle-aged man in a Chinese robe, shouted in sorrow as well. He glared at Lu Li with murderous intent in his eyes and said, "Who are you? Why did you kill my son?" "He deserves to die," Lu Li responded coldly. He thought about it and said, "You can guess my name. Does my mask look familiar?" He is. A warrior came to his senses and shouted, "He is the god of massacre from hell. He is wanted by the Fu family and the Black Flame Hall." Hiss, hiss, the warriors gasped. The god of massacre had broken through the encirclement of tens of thousands of warriors. Not even 5 third tribulation divine gods could kill him. Kill him. Kill him. Avenge my son. Kill him. The beautiful middle-aged woman stood up and shouted hysterically, "I will reward anyone who can kill him with 100,000 divine origin gold." "Bastard, how dare you kill my son? I am a young lady of the Fu family. You are doomed. Doomed." Nobody responded to her order. Many even touched their noses in embarrassment. The Fu family in the Black Flame Hall had put out a reward. Anyone who could find the god of massacre from hell could be rewarded with 1 million divine origin gold. She said the reward for killing the god of massacre was 100,000 divine origin gold. Wasn't this a joke? Now that you know who I am, why don't you piss off? Ordinary people, piss off. This time, I'm only targeting the Fu family and their lackeys. Anyone who is still here in the time for 3 breaths will be killed without mercy. Lu Li bellowed. Many warriors nearby ran to the distance without hesitation. They were not from the Fu family. Island owner would provide them with a lot of divine origin gold every month. Still, they would not be absolutely loyal when it was a matter of life and death. Why are you running? I will kill anyone who dares to run. The beautiful middle-aged woman shouted. Nobody listened to her. In the time, for a few breaths, more than half of the thousands of warriors had run away. The ones left were all loyal warriors. Some of them were disciples of the collateral branches of the Fu family. They were determined to fight till the end. Send a signal and ask for help from powerful warriors of the Fu family. Island owner Han shouted. A huge saber appeared in his hand. There were nearly 100 divine patterns on the saber. Clearly, it was a piece of treasure. He shouted and dashed toward Lu Li like an elephant. He shouted, "Kill him!" Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Almost at the same time, dozens of warriors moved. All of them were at the later stage of the second tribulation. They dashed toward Lu Li like sharp swords. Lu Li was only at the first tribulation. They did not believe that Lu Li had the ability to fight against a third tribulation. Go to hell. Lu Li showed no emotion. The most powerful warrior here was at the peak of the second tribulation. For him, this was nothing. His mountain glowed as the worms of the void whooshed on. There were only warriors here. The civilians had all run away. Lu Li had nothing to worry about. The worms of the void flew over and enveloped the remaining 1,000 warriors. One after another, the worms of the void swarmed into their bodies. Soon, the area had turned into hell. No, run. Several dark, golden worms of the void went into Island owner Han's body. He was taken aback. He attacked Lu Li, only to realize that he could not inflict any harm. Cosmos, help me. The middle-aged lady screamed in pain. She went into the worms of the void. In the blink of an eye, her legs were bitten off. She screamed in terror. At the same time, she threatened Lu Li, "Hell killer, I am a young lady of the Fu family. If you dare to kill me, the Fu family will not let you go. Your entire family will die. I'm going to kill the Fu family." Lu Li snorted. He dashed to Han Guangyu and punched Han Guangyu to death. Lu Li moved around, smashing one warrior after another to death. In the time for 20 breaths, no one survived. They were either eaten by the worms of the void or killed by Luli. Luli moved on and put away the interspatial rings. In the future, he would need a large number of elixirs to cultivate the skill of bone refinement, which would require a large amount of divine origin gold. Naturally, he would not let the interspatial rings go to waste. Whoosh! He even dashed into the city master's mansion, opened the vault one by one, and collected all the materials, weapons, and divine stones. Let's go. After looting, he dashed out of the island without looking back. With a flap of his wings, he flew into the distance. Hell killer! Many warriors were hiding in the city. They only checked with psychic power after Luli left. They were taken aback to see the more than 1,000 bodies. Chapter 1986. While the stormy sea was still in chaos, the Fu family was. The Fu family and the Hall of Black Flames were working together to hunt down Luli. Little did they expect that Luli would come to the territory of the Fu family, kill a young lady of the Fu family and a city master. The young lady was not related to the Fu family, and the city master was not important. What mattered was the dignity of the Fu family. A young warrior came to their door. Back in the day, the whole world had slapped the Fu family in the face. The Fu family was a recluse family that kept a low profile. Every now and then, some young disciples would go out and about. However, in the Stormy Sea region, the Fu family was a colossus known by everyone. They were a supreme family, and their prestige was not to be challenged. Upon receiving the news, the Fu family took actions at once. Many battleships took off. Some powerful warriors took teleportation formations and went to the floating cloud island first. Some warriors teleported to nearby islands to surround Luli. Luli was fast. The Fu family reacted quickly, but by the time the first group of warriors teleported to nearby islands, Luli had already been hundreds of miles away. He did not run away at once. Instead, he set his sights on an island in the north. Since he was here, it was not Luli's style to miss out on something big. The floating cloud island was to the south. He went to the north because he wanted to destroy a city and kill some Fu family disciples before the Fu family realized what was going on. The island he chose was called the Cloud Sun Island. This island was occupied by a patriarch of a branch of the Fu family. There was a branch of the Fu family here. The shield is activated. Luli killed dozens of scouts and snuck into the island. He frowned when he saw a huge city glowing in a blue light. He sent a message to Blood Fairy at once and asked her to crack the shield. This was not a city of the Heavenly Island. The shield should not be strong. Luli prayed to himself that he must finish the battle in the time for 3 incense sticks to burn. Otherwise, the Fu family would send reinforcements. Therefore, he did not have the time to crack the shield bit by bit. He had to count on Blood Fairy. Blood Fairy reached over quietly. In the time for 1 incense stick to burn, she said, "Master, the shield can be cracked. Give me the time for 1 incense stick to burn." "Okay, don't make any noise." Luli was filled with killing intent. He took out the stamp. He was ready to try the power of this artifact. Blood Fairy didn't cause any commotion as she broke through the spell formation. The shield in the distance didn't even ripple. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the barrier shone brightly, startling everyone in the city. Countless soldiers and experts rose into the air, their eyes filled with bewilderment, not knowing what was going on. Bang! The shield burst like a bubble. Luli flew over from the distance. His dragon wings were retracted. He was wearing a bronze mask, with a small seal in his left hand and the 7-star saber in his right. He shouted in a thunderous voice, "The Hell Killer God and the Fu family are at war. Anyone who is not involved, get out of the city at once, or you will be responsible for your own life." Luli used Dragon Roar. His voice was as loud as thunder, so loud that everyone in the city felt their eardrums hurt. At first, people in the city were shocked, but then they ran out in fear. At this moment, everyone in the city was talking about Cloudy Floating Island. Everyone in the city knew about it, but they didn't expect the killer god of hell to come here. How could they dare to stop? All of them swarmed out of the city. How dare you? Kill the hell, killing God. Quick, send a message to the family. Surround him and kill him. We cannot let the hell, killing God get away. Many angry shouts came out. Thousands of warriors rushed toward Lu Li at once. It was as if thousands of warriors were charging at the same time. Their killing intent soared up to the sky, making heaven and earth tremble. Go, Lu Li took out that small seal. The seal of the Dust King expanded with the wind. It grew to a size of more than 100 feet and shot forward like a small mountain. The seal of the Dust King was glaring. It was like a vast ocean was boiling, and its momentum was shocking. This is a secret artifact. Retreat. A commander at the peak of the second rank was frightened to see the seal of the Dust King coming. He turned into an arc and fled downwards in terror. Boom, 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 he could run away, but many other warriors could not react in time. The seal of the Dust King smashed over. Anyone that was hit by the glaring was minced into a mist of blood. They could not even hold on for the time of one breath. Run! The warriors at the back were scared. How could they defend against such a secret artifact? Seeing that more than 1,000 people were minced into a mist of blood, the warriors at the back fled to all directions like birds and beasts. Whoosh! The seal of the Dust King danced in the air. More warriors flew over, mincing many into a mist of blood. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the more than 3,000 warriors had been killed or injured. This secret artifact is powerful. Lu Li nodded. He followed the seal of the Dust King with the unfettered steps. He looked into the city and shot out several rays of sword light directly at the teleportation formation in the center of the city. Boom! The several teleportation formations in the city were all cracked. People in the city wanted to run away, and those outside wanted to teleport in, but it was not possible. They had to fly over from nearby islands. Hell Killer, how dare you? A thunderous roar came from the mansion of the city master. Then a brown-haired, strong, middle-aged man flew up. His chi and energy were profound and powerful. He was a heaven god of 3 trials. Lu Li already knew that there was a heaven god of 3 trials here, a patriarch of an external branch of the Fu family. Lu Li put on a cold smile and hacked at the heaven god of 3 trials with his 7-star sword. Swish! The ray of sword light twisted in the air. The horrifying force in heaven and earth slowed down the patriarch of 3 trials. He took out a hammer and smashed at the ray of sword light. Boom! A shocking light exploded in the sky above the city lord's mansion, like the explosion of a scorching sun. Terrifying shock waves spread out, and hundreds of the city lord's castles below suddenly collapsed, not a single one of them intact. The patriarch of 3 trials shouted in a frenzy. Even though his family members, including the elderly, the weak, the women, and the children, had all been relocated, which was why it took him so long to come out. That being said, he had spent a lot of effort on the mansion of the city master. Now that everything was ruined, he was enraged. Aha, Lu Li smiled. He dashed to the patriarch with the unfettered steps. He put away the 7-star sword and punched at the patriarch with his fists. Lu Li's strongest attack was not the Slayer's ghost cut, but his physical strength. He had improved his physical strength several times. Not even he knew how strong he was now. Boom! His fist shone with a brilliant golden light, and a surging power surged out from the 720 meridians in his body. His fist smashed heavily on the huge hammer of the 3rd Tribulation Elder. Go to hell. The Patriarch of 3 Trials was delighted to see that Lu Li was able to take on his attack with bare hands. He was a heaven god of 3 trials. Lu Li was only a heaven god of 1 trials. Even if he had achieved initial success in the immortal body, how strong could his physical body be? Boom! The space where the fist and the hammer collided trembled. A horrifying gust of wind spread to all sides. Lu Li was smashed away from more than 1,000 feet. The heaven god of 3 trials' hand was torn. He could not hold on to the hammer anymore, and it was knocked away. How is this possible? He was taken aback to see that Lu Li's fists were only bleeding. How could Lu Li's physical body be so strong? Luli rushed over and smashed at the patriarch with his fists. The patriarch had no other choice but to fight back with his fists. This time, Luli was not knocked back. Instead, the patriarch's bones in his fists were broken and his body was smashed into the ground. Chapter 1987. Boom, boom, boom. From the city of Cloud Sun came out some noises. That patriarch of 3 trials kept coming up, but was smashed down by Luli. With the help of Kylan's Sungrass, immortal beast blood and bone refinement skill, Luli's body was twice as strong as before he left the Omen Island. It was clear that this heaven god of 3 trials had just made the breakthrough. His abilities were not strong, and he was no match for Luli. This patriarch did use some powerful skills, but they were all shattered by Luli's seal of the King of Dust. The seal of the King of Dust was an artifact given by the Hall of Dark Flames for protection. It was a powerful artifact. Luli dashed around in midair. Every time he approached someone, he would take away dozens of bodies. He did not use the Worms of the Void because there were civilians in the city. He didn't think he was a good man, but he was not without principles. Those civilians were innocent, and he shouldn't implicate them. Luli punched one after another, and the seal of the King of Dust was still pressing down. Many bodies fell down, dyeing the entire city red. That heaven god of 3 trials had lost his mind to see the warriors of his branch dying one by one. He didn't even think about running away. Instead, he charged forward again and again, trying to perish together with Luli or stall Luli until powerful warriors of his family could come to his rescue. Go to hell. Luli saw that most of the warriors were gone. He could not waste any more time. He dashed forward and smashed the patriarch of 3 trials down with the seal of the King of Dust. Luli dashed down and kept punching at the patriarch. Every time, he would use the spiritual explosion skill. Layers of strength were passed on. He wanted to crush the patriarch's head. Buzzing, hundreds of dark golden worms of the void dashed out from the mountain and entered the patriarch of 3 trials. The patriarch of 3 trials cried out in pain. He could not defend himself against the worms of the void and Luli's attacks at the same time. Boom! Luli punched for dozens of times. Finally, the patriarch's head was crushed. His armor, an interspatial ring, flew out. Luli grabbed the interspatial ring and the armor. He flew out and put away the hammer as well. Then he began to check with psychic power, trying to find the treasury in the mansion of the city. Every family had a treasury to store materials, weapons, and other treasures. There could not be so many materials in the interspatial ring. Besides, there were so many disciples in the clan that had to be consumed every day, and there were divine materials coming in and out every day. There had to be a unified divine material warehouse. Luli used psychic power to check. Soon, he found several underground vaults that were protected by runes. Luli asked Blood Fairy to crack the formations while he went after the warriors nearby. Soon, the treasury was opened. Luli rushed in and was shocked by what he saw. This branch of the Fu clan was very wealthy. The divine materials were piled up like mountains, and there was even a large pile of divine origin gold. There were at least millions of them. This was only a branch of the Fu family. If this was the Fu family's headquarters, how rich would they be? After putting away all the materials and treasures, Luli flew up and swaggered away. There were still some people he didn't kill, because a few incense sticks worth of time had passed. If he continued to stay here, the experts of the Fu clan would arrive. He rushed into the sea and activated the Great Path mark to scout the surroundings. His perception had increased by dozens of times, and he could sense even the slightest movement in his surroundings. He could even detect the scouts lurking at the bottom of the sea and easily avoid them. Traveling across the sea, Luli dashed toward the west. He had his sights set on an island there. There were hundreds of islands nearby, covering an area of hundreds of millions of miles. If he could destroy the teleportation formation, not even the old bastard of the Fu family could arrive in the time for a few incense sticks to burn. What was more, would the old bastard of the Fu family dare to make a move? Were they not afraid that he would go to the city of the Fu family and start a massacre? Usually, the old bastard of the Fu family would not come out unless the family was in danger. The Fu family patriarch would be useless if he could ask the old bastard for help just because of a small crisis. Lu Li was certain of this. As long as the old bastard of the Fu family did not come out, Lu Li was absolutely safe. The average patriarchs of the Fu family could not catch up with him. A few hours later, he easily passed through a large island. He circled around the island to make sure that there were no ambushes. Then, he went to the island quietly. Along the way, he killed all the scouts he ran into, not giving them any chance to report. Outside the city on the island, Lu Li asked Blood Fairy to crack the formation and to check the situation in the city. Making sure that there was only one heaven god of 3 trials in the city, Lu Li went on a killing spree after the shield was broken. After the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, Lu Li left with the Xinyuan gold and other materials in the city, leaving behind a city full of dead bodies. Of the thousands of Fu family members in the city, over 3,000 were killed by Lu Li, including the city lord, a heaven god of 3 trials. 2 hours after Lu Li left, many battleships arrived. Rows of warriors stood on the battlefield. All of them were in black armors, giving off a cold vibe. They were like gods of death. When they arrived at the city, many warriors flew down and cordoned off the entire city. More than a dozen heaven god of 3 trials flew down. When they learned about the situation in the city, an old man in a luxurious robe smashed a castle in rage. He bellowed, "Hell God, you have gone too far. You have gone too far." The old man's shout was so loud that the entire city could hear him. A moment later, groups of warriors boarded the battleships. Then, the battleships scattered to all directions to search for Lu Li. More than 100 battleships came. They were all elites of the Fu family. More than half of the Fu family's army and patriarchs were here. They vowed to find Lu Li and kill him. Orders were sent to the islands like snowflakes. Scouts from the islands swarmed into the ocean, searching for Lu Li all over the world. Lu Li had humiliated the Fu family 3 times. Fu family patriarch ordered that Lu Li must be found and killed at all costs. Otherwise, the Fu family's reputation in the Sea of Storms would be tarnished. 3 days. For 3 days, the Fu family mobilized at least 1 million warriors to search for Lu Li. But nothing was found. It was as if Lu Li had vanished into thin air. On the 4th day, there was finally news that Lu Li had appeared at the south. He breached a city and killed thousands. Fu family warriors were enraged. But this time, they had learned their lesson. Instead of going to the island directly, they went to surround the island. At the same time, many warriors were mobilized from nearby islands to surround the island. Fu family patriarch ordered that when Lu Li was found, they must stop him at all costs. However, what made Fu family patriarchs so angry was that after hundreds of thousands of warriors were mobilized and they searched millions of miles of the ocean, they couldn't find Lu Li. They couldn't even find a clue. Once again, Lu Li had vanished into thin air. After breaching 3 cities and killing more than 10,000 people, the news could no longer be kept under wraps. The news spread across the entire Sea of Storms like snowflakes. The entire region was in an uproar. The Fu family and the Black Flame Hall had put out an arrest warrant for the Hell God. Little did they expect that the Hell God would go to the Fu family's territory and destroy 3 cities in a row. The Black Flame Hall sent overpowerful warriors as soon as they got the news. At the same time, the Bu family's top scouts were teleported over as well. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.